This meeting is being recorded.
This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Canada's most unimpressive province, New Brunswick, Canada, in my opinion. But I'm rocking a beautiful Toronto celebration behind me because to me, until our political situation gets unscrewed up here in Canada, that's where I would like to live. But we're not here to talk politics. We're here to talk wrestling. Yes, and I have a four-time guest here on the show. She is featured right here on my shirt. Look at that. Look at that. Yes, folks. I'm talking about a female tag team champion, Princess Victoria. How do you do, Princess Victoria?
I'm doing well. That $20 I sent you bought me a good introduction there, Greg.
That's right. That's right. And not only that, look what else I have.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
That's my book. And hang on a minute.
That's Jim Cornette calling you.
It better not be. Actually, that'd be kind of fun. Eric, I'm on a podcast. I'll call you back. All right, darling. Bye.
Eric Bishop?
No, Eric Nelson, the promoter. Only you. Only you.
Well, you said love ya, so I figured,
Very few people can get me tongue tangled. You have got me tongue tangled. No, that was Eric Nelson. He's Stranglehold Championship Wrestling out of Georgia. And that's where I was last weekend. And I had such a great time. It was so much old school wrestling. I mean, he had Sergeant Slaughter there. I got to see Jake.
I love Jake the Snake. Let me see if I can find him here.
He is looking so good.
Here's Jake.
There's Jake. He is almost back to that right there.
Yeah.
You know him and Cheryl are back together, right?
I love Cheryl. Yeah, I love that storyline with Ravishing Rick Rude, where they had the feud and they had Cheryl involved, and Jake worked really, really well with Rude. They had good chemistry. Jake had good chemistry with Rude, Steamboat, and Ted DiBiase. Those were the three opponents that he really gelled well in the ring with, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think back in the day, Jake could work with anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just that type. He was one of those people. Put that away. I don't want Cheryl to hit me when the next time she sees me. But I saw Sarge. I saw Jake. Tickled to death to see Jake. He looked so good. And every time he looked at Cheryl, you could see his eyes dance.
Kind of like yours did when you saw the Iron Sheik every time at the Kongs.
Yes. They danced right into the back of my head so I couldn't see.
Speaking of Stranglehold Wrestling, I think that's the name of the wrestling that Jim Cornette operated when it come to Vince Russo. Stranglehold right around Vince Russo's neck. Right.
I wish he could. I wish he would. I'd pay to see that.
Yeah.
But this is, like I said, it was all old school wrestling. I mean, they even had Joseph Von Smith out there. You know, he does the beer match, the Oktoberfest beer match. Whoever gets out of the ring and drinks 3 beers first wins.
Oh, gee, Steve Austin should win that.
Right.
Yeah.
Or Andre. You know, Andre would have won it.
Cow.
First 5 seconds, it's over.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Andre would put Steve Austin to shame on that one.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I've seen that. I mean, it's like squunch. Andre could hold his beer, that's for sure. But It was so refreshing. I've now seen it twice in the last couple of years to see an old school wrestling show. Nobody had even close to the same gimmick unless they happen to be tag team partners. Um, uh, 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 Madman Pondo was there. Abby was there. Abdullah the Butcher was there. Now, none of the old schoolers wrestled, of course, but it
What, you
was.
didn't wrestle?
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? We don't want to scare the fans away. We want to
Oh,
bring them
come on.
in.
I bet you could get in the ring with Jim Cornette.
Yeah, because we both stand in the corner and just look at each other and say, really?
Look
Who
who's
takes
here.
the bump first? You go ahead.
Look who's here.
Who is
What?
that? Is that
Blassie
Pat?
Freddie Blassie.
Oh, Lord.
He's getting you ready for your tag team. You and Velvet go a tag team against the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov. It's special stipulation. It's date night, you know?
Oh, God
Oh,
forbid.
yeah. Their first thing, the main course, they're going to annihilate the killer bees. And after
Right?
they do that, they're taking you and Velvet out for a date. Nikolai right now, though, according to Blassie, Nikolai's getting ready in the back for Velvet, you know? Yeah. Yeah, and the Iron Sheik is going to put you in the camel clutch and make you humble.
I don't think so.
See that? You're getting all sweaty right now just looking at that, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. Got drool going down my chin. Let me go get.
I know you
Yeah.
do.
Let me wipe it off.
Yeah, there you go. That's a big attraction tonight. The big tag match.
Right.
Yes.
Well, I got something that is literally in its infancy. I won't say it's going to happen because we've only been working on it for about 5 days, but everybody needs to watch my page because I've got some announcements coming up within the next month, hopefully sooner. Suffice it to say, Velvet and I are going to be in the same room for the first time in 40 years. And there's going to be a lot more people involved in it than just me and Velvet. I'm talking, let's see, Wendi Richter, Judy Martin, Leilani Kai. Where's my list at?
Why don't you guys all come on the show here?
Well, we may do that.
Yeah.
Wendi doesn't do a lot of podcasts that I know of, but
You tell her I'll get my Cyndi Lauper vinyl record out here and give her some nostalgia.
I wouldn't want to remind her of that. Here's the big thing. Involved in this, somebody very interesting has decided to become a part of this. Her name's Penny Mitchell.
I know that name.
Yes, she was Spider Lady. She was in the dressing rooms the night all this went down with Wendi.
Yep. I know what you're talking about. Yep.
She's going to possibly tell her story for the very first time of what she saw in the dressing rooms, what was going on. And I've got a lot more. Right now, I've got 15 80s and 90s female wrestlers lined up. And we're going to hit, if this goes, and I'm saying if, because I ain't seen no airplane tickets or no cash yet. But if this goes, this is going to be a fun time had by all, and the fans are going to love it.
Are you going to have Jim Cornette there in drag?
Well, of course we are. You didn't expect that, did you?
You want me to tell you something? I got a little story for it. Did you see the video I sent you, by the way, with the woman that was with Apache Ramos at Chiller?
No, I don't think I did. Where was it?
I sent it to you on
Facebook Messenger.
Yeah.
Well, I have switched computers, And I
I'll
made
tell you what, just a second. I'll bring the video up here.
Oh, good. I got to see
Yeah,
it.
because I'll bring that right up here because I've had Apache Ramos from the Warriors on here 3 times, you know, so he was looking forward to meeting me, but he had this woman sitting with him, and it was interesting. She had a picture on her phone with Greg the Hammer Valentine backstage at WrestleMania 1.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she had a lot of pictures, I'll tell you.
You know, that is the main mistake I made, was I did not take the pictures I needed to take.
Rain on them. Yes, absolutely.
Just a second.
And you know what? Look at this.
Just a second. I gotta let this
Python
You
here
let it buffer.
with Apache Ramos. Yes, from the Oregon.
I can't see anything.
Yes,
right
absolutely.
there. No,
And you know what?
tilt it forward a little bit. If for some reason your background is reflecting on
Okay.
your screen.
I don't know. He's still got a little bit, but David Harris doesn't have his afro anymore.
You miss my grandson. He's the heir apparent to the orphan throne.
Yes. And our friend here, who's your favorite wrestler?
Terry Funk.
Love Terry Funk. That's a great choice.
Terry Funk, Greg Valentine.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. And for now, what's going on now? Valentine Black and the House of Black.
And let's just all just say it. Shawn Michaels is an ass.
Please.
Yeah.
I wouldn't spit on him if he was on fire. I can't stand Shawn Michaels. Racist bastard.
Really?
Yes.
Now, can we all admit that Jim Cornette should run for president?
Of course.
Yes.
Cornette is the best.
He is the best.
He is the best of all.
Yes.
Most knowledgeable man in professional wrestling is Jim Cornette.
Yes.
And my daughter told him once that if he was a preacher, she'd go back to church.
There you go. Well, folks, I've had Larry Zabisco on the show. We gotta say, Princess Victoria, we love you, Princess Victoria.
We love you. See you at the CAC.
Yes. We love
Yes, you will.
Piper. We love Roddy Piper.
Girl, I'll catch you at the CAC.
Yes, absolutely. And we'll catch many others as well. And of course, look at that.
I'm back. I just had heart surgery and I'm stronger than ever. Ready to rain on
It's
him.
not raining on him because his arrow's not growing. But we know that the creepy ghoul, my friend in Toronto, has got a lot of Warriors memorable people.
Okay, it gets talk about my friend from Toronto there, but who's a big
What-
Warriors fan.
When was that taken? This year?
Yep, that was at Chiller at the end of April.
Well, I will definitely be at CAC.
Yeah.
I've got a friend of mine who is wrestling there. It's going to be his last match, and he wanted it to be at CAC, so I have to be there. His ring name is Cameron Starr, and he's a very, very good friend of mine. He's one of those people. You call him, he's there. His heart is like Sherry Martel. I've said it before. If you were in a blizzard with Sherry and there was one coat that she had a coat on and you said you were cold, Sherry would give you your coat. This is Cameron Starr. And
Yeah.
he's a heck of a wrestler. I've got a lot of things going on this year. It started a couple of months ago. As you know, I took a break from doing podcasts for about 6 months. I was having some physical issues where I was just not on my game. And so I don't want to be on your show and be going, because I was having to take quite a few. I normally take half of the pain pills that the doctors prescribe for me. I was having to take full doses. And I'm finally out of there now. And
Jim
back to
Cornette gives people pain pills.
Well, actually, he gives them the headache, so they have to take pain pills. I love you, Corny. You know that.
We love Jim Cornette.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, love Jim Cornette. I could
Can you-
listen to him all day.
Yes, and he could talk all day.
Yeah.
I snuck up on him. Oh Lord, it was 2000. I want to say it was 2013 at the Greg Price thing at the Hilton there in Charlotte. And he was, of course, he had his tennis racket, and he couldn't be like the rest of us, you know, in our chairs, eye to eye with our fans. He's up on a pedestal.
Of course he is.
Of course he is, and which he should be. And I climbed the pedestal and I whispered in his ear. I said, I bet you don't know who this is. And then I just stood there, and he broke out in a cold sweat. He goes, no, no, no. And I said, Princess. The man like to broke my back giving me a hug. You know, yeah. Corny. A lot of people talk junk about Corny because of his mouth, but one thing I love about him, you know exactly where the man stands.
I love Jim Cornette.
Oh, I do too.
Yep.
I joke about him a lot, but you know, he comes out and he's like me. He says what's on his mind, and
Mhm.
he does not care who he makes mad. He's gonna be him. He's gonna tell how he feels, and if you don't like it, sayonara, sweetheart.
Yeah.
I mean, and oh, the thing that I'm doing too, we have Wendi Richter on board as well.
I've always loved Wendi. I'd love to. You tell her to get her ass on the show.
I don't tell Wendi what to do about
You
anything.
tell her what to do.
She can still whoop my tail. Nuh-uh. I will
You
say
tell her I've been a fan since the 80s. You
I
tell her.
I will ask her. I will not
You
tell her.
you tell her that if Larry Zabisco can withstand me, then you know.
Right?
I have a lot of respect for Wendi Richter. You know, she was the first female I've ever seen do a steel cage match, and she did
Right.
like 3 of them in the 80s. Always loved Wendi. Like, I mean, the glasses and the hair, you know.
Well,
I
she had
mean,
the hair, didn't she? She
yeah.
had the hair. She
And
put
the hooped earrings, you know.
Yep. Yep. Um,
Yeah.
and I was on the road with Wendi for a period of time. And I can tell you this, that woman earned her stripes.
Yeah.
It does if we were at a hotel that had a gym, up first thing in the morning, takes a shower, goes to the gym, comes back, takes a shower, goes to the match, back to the gym that night after the matches. If we didn't have a gym, she was out running and jogging, you know, trying to pick up cars.
Well, if you didn't have a gym, you wouldn't have a cornet.
This is true too. You need a gym. You need a gym. I love that background. That is so beautiful.
I love Toronto. I'm trying to get moved there. And with the inflation thing being what it is, I mean, don't get me started on how much of, excuse my language, but how much of a fucking asshole our current prime minister is. But,
I'll
you
trade
know,
you. I'll trade him for Biden.
oh, jeepers. At least we have a silver lining, hopefully, with Pierre Polyev.
Right.
You know, I like what he stands for. And I'm hoping, I have no doubts he's going to win.
Right.
I've met him, and I'm hoping that he comes through in everything he says. I feel really bad for you guys because you guys are stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hell or deeper hell. However, if I had to choose, and a lot of people might not like me for this, but considering what Biden has and has not done, considering where our economy has gone since he's been in charge, I mean, at one point, eggs were $5.34 a dozen. Are you kidding me?
Listen, I'm not going to judge you if you say you vote for Trump. Like, here's
I
the one thing that gets me. I don't like Justin Trudeau, but I'm not going to unfriend people who support him. I don't
Absolutely.
understand. Yeah, I don't care who votes for who. you know? Um,
Do you know
I'm
what
for Pierre Polyev, but a lot of people, they will disown people if they vote somewhere. It's like, stop that.
true friendship is? It's when you're sitting down and you're talking about something and you're both polarized, north and south. But when it comes right down to it, at the end, you're still friends. That's what a real friend, they appreciate your observation. And when people, I think what happens is some people like to shove their opinion down your throat. And when people, I know when people do that to me, I'm automatically, no, I'm done with you. I
I'll
don't
give
know.
you a good example. I come from a Christian background. I believe in the Bible.
Right.
I know Jim Cornette is very much against it, but you know what? It doesn't stop me from loving Jim Cornette, you know?
That's right.
Um, yeah, um, but it's not something I force on people. I'm not afraid to say what I believe in. But
Right.
I'll tell you one thing I'm not for is people destroying the country. There's no reason I can't get moved to Toronto. I had a job lined up there,
Uh-huh.
and I
I
thought it was just,
remember.
yeah, I thought it was just going to be as simple as me getting an apartment and moving down there. Holy shit, did I find out I'm still here, you know?
What in the heck is going on? What hoops are they having you jump through?
It's
That's
just a matter of finding a place that I can afford to live in and a place that'll let me take my cat. Because I'm not leaving my cat here. My cat was left to me by my dad before he passed, you know?
well, I went when I came to Oklahoma. I don't know if you know it, but I was homeless for about 3 weeks. I was sleeping in my car in Washington State with Sunny and Shadow. Um, for the simple fact that had been looking for a place to stay, believe it or not, for 6 months. And a simple studio apartment with no appliances, nothing, just a room was $1,600 plus another $100 for each dog. And I like I said, I'd rather sleep in my car than lose my dogs.
Yep.
Um, and checking into a kitchenette up there, you're talking 2,400 a month if you can find one that cheap. Motel rooms were from 65 a night at a cheap Motel 6 with no microwave, no refrigerator. You know, you had to bring your own blanket in and sleep on top of the sheets and all that were on the bed. But when I got to Oklahoma, uh, I I went through probably 25 different houses, looking at 25 different houses, all of them within my price range in the country. Because you know me, I like to see armadillos, turtles, men running naked, whatever. But every time I said the word, you're something else, boy. But every time I said the word pit bull, click 25 times just because I said the word pit bull. I was actually at the that I was going to have to relinquish Sunny and Shadow to a rescue because I couldn't find a place with them. And I happened to look, I was sitting there and I said, "All right, I've tried all these apartment people. This is not working." And something said, "Go to Marketplace." So I went to Marketplace and boom, the first ad I saw, trailer in the country, $550 a month. No sewage, no water because I'm on septic tank and well. And I'm literally living a country song. I'm a mile down a red dirt road. Um, and I got to keep Sunny and Shadow. Unfortunately, in the last 2 years, both passed away.
Did you get to keep
But
Sonny and Cher?
no, Cher had a little bit to say about not wanting Sonny in the room. But I'm really happy living here, and I've actually been told that there has been over 25,000 people moved from California to Oklahoma because of money. So, I get it. I know what you're going through.
Yeah.
Um,
Plus,
you
our prime minister evoked the Emergency Act on the truckers' convoy, a peaceful protest. He had two standing ovations for what turned out to be a Nazi in the Common House.
Are you
Yeah,
kidding me?
yeah. You can look that all up online,
Well,
And then
ve-
the arrive scam thing, where there was a lot of taxpayers' money that was being wasted.
yeah,
And
same here.
yep, people are tired of it. And so I know where I'm voting next year, and they can't get this guy out fast enough. He's running around now with like armored cars and police escorts, and I'm like, yeah, I guess he's well aware that he's this close to getting his ass handed to him by the public.
Right. Well, it's the same thing with Biden. I mean, uh, here at the last minute, all of a sudden he wants to put limits on people coming across the border. Here at the last minute. What about the last 3 years where millions of undocumented aliens, and no, I'm not talking those people who are coming here truly looking for a better life. I'm talking about the guy, I cannot remember the name of the newscaster, but he was at a site where people, undocumented aliens, were coming through. And there was a Mideastern gentleman. He went to talk to him, like he had everybody else. Why are you here? Blah, 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 the same questions. And he said, "You don't know my name?" With a very heavy Mideastern accent. "You may not know my name now, but before it's done, you will know my name." I saw this with my own eyes. This wasn't something somebody told me. I happened to have been watching Fox Live, and I switched between all four of them because, well, you know why. Because this one lies on that 25%, that one lies on this 25%. So I get an equal balance. I hear the truth between the four of them, but I happen to see that live. Now, what does that tell you about what's going on at the border? There, it nobody, including Texas, is trying to stop people who are coming here to make their lives better. But when you've got full-grown men with no wives, no children that are coming through the border from China, the Mideast, there's a problem. There is a serious problem. And Biden just finally here in the last, couple of months, just before the election, imagine that, has shut it down. No more than 2,500 uh, 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 immigrants. I don't want to say aliens because they're not aliens. They're of this earth. Immigrants could cross the border. But, what damage has already been done?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't like Trump, and I get it. Bless his heart, they need to keep him off of, Snapchat and Twitter and Instagram because he always gets himself in trouble. But in the long run, we were a lot better off when he was in office. A lot better off. Then all of a sudden, I had to shut down my store in 2006 when gas went to $4 a gallon, people were getting, you know how people regulate their heating bills, they pay $250 a month, and no matter what the bill is, and at the end of the year they've got some money coming back. Uh Going from being owed money, these people were told that they owed money to the electric company, and I remember one lady saying it was $1,800.
Wow.
Right. And it cost me my thrift shop. I had to go back to welding. So, uh
You weld?
oh yes, sir.
Oh,
I
wow.
I am fluent in MIG, TIG, and stick.
Oh, that
Uh
is awesome.
oh, I love welding. I went
Okay.
into I'm a pyromaniac at heart, and I was getting paid to play with fire. Are you kidding me? Yeah,
No, I didn't know that about you. I think that's amazing.
well, I actually was welding when I left. I was welding fuel and hydraulic tanks, and me and my boss Peter had the same. We had our shed for the tanks, and uh, we both decided neither one of us liked grinding. I can weld all day, but that grinding would mess with my hands bad.
Yeah, but if you weld yourself to Jim Cornette, you're gonna have to grind too.
Oh God. Only you, my love, only you. You are one of a kind. Ah,
Oh my. But
I hope
the
I hope Corny sees this. He's
oh,
gonna love
I hope so.
He loves it.
So
But
I'm happy. I would love to meet Jake the Snake, I'm glad you got to meet him,
oh,
what was Cheryl Roberts like?
she's awesome. I walked up and I show respect to wives because it's the respect I would want. And I walked up to Cheryl. I said, "Nice to see you here. Do you mind if I hug your husband?" I mean that's proper manners. You don't just walk up and put your arms around somebody's husband. That no.
Well, what if it was Jim Cornette? You wouldn't say that, Stacy, would you? You'd just run up there and tackle him, wouldn't you?
No, I'd give Stacy $10 to knock me out first. Um but I went over and I gave Jake a hug and I told him, "So glad to see you here." And I choked up quite a bit seeing he looked so good. The sparkle was back in his eyes. He was the old Jake and the one we all knew and loved. And I was so glad every time he looked at Cheryl, you could see the fireworks go off in his eyes. I
Oh, that's
mean,
wonderful.
oh yeah, it was so thank you, DDP. Thank
Yes. Yes. Diamond Dallas Page is DDP Yoga. We got to give that a plug because he helped Jake. He helped Scott Hall, aka Razor Ramon. He's helped a lot of people. It's too bad he didn't get hold of some of the other folks, like Junkyard Dog and ones like that were having
you
problems.
know what? I remember Junkyard Dog when he was working for Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Junk Dog, and I call him Dog.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody else says JYD. He's Dog to me. Um, he was one of the best wrestlers, perfect gentleman that you could ever meet. And I heard stories last weekend that literally made me cry. Um, to hear that Dog had went down that road was just heartbreaking because and there's too many of them that have went down, and if you notice there is a common factor with a lot of these guys that are going down. What are you up to?
I've got a Junkyard Dog figure in here somewhere.
Ah, but there's a common factor if you look at a lot of these gentlemen wrestlers, and dog, bless his heart.
Junkyard Dog.
Bless his heart. He went down hard.
Yeah, he did.
But if you look at Dog's story, you look at a lot of these wrestlers, both female and male wrestlers, where do they start into the nosedive? Where do at least 75% of them start into the nosedive? Where was Dog when he went south?
Working for a shithead. I think we know what shithead we're talking about.
Right. Exactly.
The one that's in trouble right now with the
Oh, I feel so sorry for him, you know?
I know.
Everybody asked me, well, weren't you surprised? No, I was not surprised what came to light. Look at what he did to women's wrestling once he took over the WWF.
Yeah, we're talking, folks, about Vince McMahon, of course. Yeah,
Vinnie Mac, as I call him.
yeah.
He still hasn't taken me up on that $1,000 I offered him.
You know what? I would love to get Nails on here and ask him what it was like to choke the hell out of Vince McMahon and slap him around a little bit. Unfortunately, you know, Bad News Brown is gone, but I guess he got his hands on him. You know, Bret Hart got to punch him out. You know, like Vince McMahon was every bit the pussy that Shawn Michaels is.
Well, I remember Vinnie Mac when he was a pencil neck geek running around behind Piper and Hogan like a puppy in love.
Oh, we've got a Piper in here. Oh, yeah.
You got the one with the Red Hot Rod t-shirt?
Yeah, I don't have the kilt, though.
Hang on a minute. I'm going to one-up you. Give me a second.
Wow. Oh, folks, she's going to have a Piper. I bet she's got a whole stash of Iron Sheik figures back there, though. Oh, yeah. Oh, if you got the kilt, I'm going to be so envious of you.
There you go, brother.
Oh, wow. You know, it's hard to find them. Like, my Freddie Blassie doesn't have the cane or anything. It's hard to get them.
Well, you showed me Freddie Blassie, and he was in red and yellow. I remember him in like this 3-piece suit.
Pink, yeah.
Yeah, I remember him in a 3-piece suit. I don't remember the red and that must have been way after my time.
Yeah. But I was at Schiller, and they had a bunch of those LGN figures there, and they were only $15. And I was like, oh my goodness. So I went through to see what they had. They had, and it was the first time I'd ever seen him. And I knew the figure existed. They had, let me see. I got a big bag of all these things, but
yeah, I see that.
Yeah, well, I love collecting these, but they had their okay, I found them. I'd never seen this before, but I knew it existed. Jimmy Superfly Snuka.
Oh my Lord.
It was part of the original 6 that they launched.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've still got my 8x10 he signed for me when I was 9 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I've never even seen that one before or heard of it.
Well, the original LGNs were Hulk Hogan, the Iron Sheik, Andre the Giant, Big John Studd, Jimmy Superfly Snuka, and they had Sergeant Slaughter, but it got pulled because of Vince wanting to control over the Sergeant Slaughter G.I. Joe thing. And then, of course, later on in the year, there was 4 more added, which were Roddy Piper, Junkyard Dog, Nikolai Volkov, and Hillbilly Jim. You know, but when I went through security to come home, the buzzer on the security thing at the airport went up, and
Uh-huh.
security guard looks at me and he goes, sir, do you have little people in your bag? So I told him to look. I knew exactly what he was looking at. He pulls out Jimmy Snuka and he was like, do I do a search on this guy? Because all he's got is like a loincloth on. And I said, considering what he was being charged with before his death, maybe you might. I don't know.
That was very sad for both sides.
Yeah.
Nobody got any satisfaction out of that. I mean, I don't know what happened, but I know when he was deemed that he was not fit for trial,
Mm-hmm.
that just, if there had been a trial and he had been declared innocent or guilty, either way, somebody would have had closure. There was no closure with the way it happened for
Oh.
anybody. I've heard the story differently from two different people that were there when it happened. And they are both polar opposites. I was not there.
Mm-hmm.
So I cannot have a what's the word I'm looking for? I cannot have a say in this because I don't know. I really don't know. And if I did know, you know me, I don't give a damn. If I knew or I thought one way, I would state what I thought. But I don't know. I don't know the circumstances, nothing. So, it's just sad for everybody.
Guess what I just found out? I just found out Wendi Richter's going to do my show.
You just found that out?
Yeah, because Captain Lou Albano said
Oh
she's
my
going
God,
to.
I should have known it was a rib. I should have known it was a rib.
Captain Lou said that she best get on here. Captain Lou says.
Tell him I'll send Cyndi Lauper after you, Lou.
I love Cyndi Lauper.
Oh, I loved her music. Can you believe that she was in the building and I never got to meet her?
Wow.
But I also heard, can't see it, it's the reflection. There you go. Who is that? Is that Stud?
No, but he is a stud, though. This is Terry Funk.
That's Terry. That doesn't look anything like Terry Funk.
That's Terry Funk. He's supposed to have a branding iron and a hat, but as I said,
Terry Funk never had muscles like that. I know better. I know Terry well.
If Terry Funk was alive, he would tell me he had muscles like that. Oh my goodness,
Terry, you find me one match Terry Funk was in that he had guns. Now, he was by no means was he not a decent looking wrestler. He just wasn't into all this muscle bodybuilding crap. He was lean and mean.
Here's one of my favorites.
Now, I quit watching in 87,
well,
but I should know him.
This guy took the Intercontinental Championship in 87.
I have no idea.
My goodness.
Is that?
Oh, you're going to kick yourself. He's one of the best.
That's not Don Morocco, is it?
No. This is Don Morocco.
Put it in front of you because your background is blurring them out. Yeah, okay.
That's Don Morocco.
Who's the one on your left?
It's Ricky Steamboat, the Dragon.
That doesn't look anything like Ricky either.
Oh yeah, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Well, you know that there is a company that's coming out with a new run of old school wrestling figurines, right?
I know they're expensive. I got one of
Now,
their figures. I got one of their figures.
who the hell is that?
You can't understand what a absolute perfect figure this is.
I think you got the wrong company. That's shoot. Don't ask an old woman to think. Are you kidding me? Who
Oh,
is it?
I already gave you a hint when I said it's
I know.
absolutely the most perfect figure.
And I know it, and I can't oh crap.
This is Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig.
Right. And I actually knew Kurt. But no, they haven't come out with Kurt Hennig. They came out with Magnum TA.
This is Kurt Hennig. This is an LJN. They did this one.
This year.
No, Random Treasures on Etsy. And this was one of the first ones they did.
Well, we have a very large company that is bringing out, and they're starting out with they're going from 1960 on up, and they're starting they're in production now. One of them they did was Magnum TA, and
Oh, awesome.
I saw Magnum. I saw Terry at the gathering last year, and let me tell you what, when they, yes, I know.
What?
Hello, Randy. How are you? Now that one I know. That was
Ooh, yeah.
I was gonna do that and I couldn't remember. That was really sad when Lanny passed away.
Yes.
I talked to Lanny the night before and he was fine. And then the next morning I get up on Facebook and he's gone.
Yeah, I got a whole bunch of these when I was at Schiller. Here's another one. Speaking of somebody who should run for president.
Jesse?
Yeah. I can see you're sweating right now.
Oh, now I am.
Yes.
Now I am. But wait until you see these figurines that are coming out now.
How much are they cost? Will they cost?
You know what? I haven't checked into that, but knowing who's behind it, they're going to be reasonably priced.
I hope so.
Terry Allen, Magnum TA, was at the gathering last year, and of course we tagged up because Terry and I are very, very good friends. That's one of those take a bullet for you brothers. Is that the Claw?
Well, kind of, but this is what a real champion looks like.
Is that supposed to be Bruno?
That is Bruno. Bruno Sammartino.
Wait until you see these new figurines coming out. I saw them, and the only way that you cannot recognize who they are is if you've never been to a wrestling match. These new figurines coming out are absolutely perfection. And it's for, I ought to know who it's for.
You know, the reason I brought these figures out because I'm helping you and Velvet in your dating life. You know,
I
figured maybe we could. You or Velvet, which one of you wants to take this guy?
Was that Mongolian? Is that
no?
I can't tell. Oh my God! Why all the wrinkled skin? Who is that? That's ugly as homemade sin.
Oh my God, I can't believe you said that. Oh, can't believe you said that. Oh my goodness.
Now you remember I quit watching wrestling in '87.
I know. Well, this guy was there and he was in WrestleMania too.
I didn't watch it. 2 was in 87.
2 was in 86.
Okay, well then I stopped. I don't know.
Oh
I'm
my
not sure.
goodness. You could pat this guy with all the hair on him.
I don't have a clue.
This is George the Animal Steel.
Oh shit! Shoot!
I can't believe you said he was ugly. Now he's insulted.
Yeah, I know,
He
and
is-
I'm
he-
supposed.
He's not going to go on a date with you now.
That's all right. I would have made him pay.
But this guy might go out with you in Velvet, though. Charming as hell, this guy is.
I have no clue right now.
This is King Kong Bundy.
Oh, good Lord.
You guys have to pay, though. Because this guy eats a lot.
Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll tell you what, I have had a really good time this year. I've been here in Oklahoma and I tagged up with oh, that's Kamala.
Yeah, don't you want to go on a date with Kamala?
No. He can't walk by my side. I mean, bad joke, but isn't Kamala the person who had both legs amputated?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, that was a bad joke, unfortunately.
He's
Bob
missing some
Orton?
front teeth, though.
Bob Orton?
No, I got Bob Orton, though. This guy is so much more charming than Bob Orton. This is Outback Jack.
Never. I do not know that name. I'll be totally honest. I have no clue who that is.
This was Vince's answer to Crocodile Dundee. And he don't like Vince either, apparently.
Vince
Oh.
was what Vince did to wrestling, and I've said it 1,000 times. The man should be hung and then shot for stinking. I mean,
Or as Jim Cornette would say, boiled in oil and have his fat sold for soap.
well, yeah, but who would want that soap?
You mean you and Velvet wouldn't want that?
Oh, hell no. Can you imagine having a soap that smelled like Vinnie Mac? That's got to be real close to smelling like diarrhea in my eyes.
So what was it like running into Sergeant Slaughter again at this event? I see pictures of him at a lot of these events. Never met him myself.
Sarge is doing good. Sarge is doing really good. And to see him again was a treat as well.
Mm-hmm.
To see Abby was a good, a treat. Buff Bagswell was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and his wife had a good time. We had a few chuckles.
I know who wasn't there. Sabu.
Oh, gee, have you been watching my page?
Yeah.
See, I was not going to bring that up. I was going to be a lady. I wasn't going to say what a serious slime ball this man is for trying to back a 15-year-old kid up for $450.
Yeah, that is just wrong.
Or what he did to his best friend of 30 years. Who everybody said don't book Sabu, he's doing this.
Yeah.
And Eric said, "Oh, but we're good friends. He wouldn't do this to me." And Sabu can say what he wants. He can call me what he wants, a rat, a liar. But the thing is Eric didn't tell me this. Nobody told me this. What I heard that he did to Eric was out of Sabu's own mouth. Oh, brother, I'm sorry, I overslept. Soon as he says overslept, Eric, being the promoter that he is, Eric says, "Give me a second," tags off to Sabu, calls one of his people and says, "Get me a plane ticket for Vegas to Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
That guy that he talked to within 2 minutes had a flight from Vegas to Atlanta. It was 4 hours later. Oh, I can't make that. I got to do laundry. I heard this out of Sabu's mouth to my ears. This is not a story somebody told me. And as you can tell by what I've said on my page, I mean, he can't fire me. He threatened to kick my I'm a 63-year-old woman and he threatened to kick my ass if I showed up at CAC. You know, Sabu, in a way, he seriously, excuse my language, in a way, he seriously pisses me off because he's causing sponsors to drop off because he's ripping off the sponsors.
Well, number one, he's not going to kick your ass because I'm pretty sure you've got enough people there that would have your back.
I ain't got to have nobody but me. Because after what he did, that 15-year-old kid, when I get seriously pissed, and I am seriously pissed, I go black. The only thing I can see is your face. I don't feel pain. And until it's done, the only thing I see, I'm zeroing in on you. There could be an atom bomb go off beside me, and I would not hear it. What Sabu is doing to our business is disgusting.
Yeah. And it's
He-
sad because I had tremendous respect for him in the ring too. Like he had a barbed wire match with Terry Funk that was just out of this world. But Terry Funk would never do something like this. Terry
Oh,
was
hell no.
Terry
Hell no.
was such an honorable guy.
Did you, in that thread, did you find the video of Sabu that they were talking about?
No, I that might have came after I was on there last.
Scroll down. There is a video of Sabu. And I saw it. He fell 3 times in less than 30 seconds. He went to grab a leg and drop an elbow, and he fell into the man's crotch. And I'm sure that it hurt very bad. What Sabu is doing is so wrong. And I'm the one with nothing to lose. There's people I've talked to in the last few days, Vicky, I can't. I'm here or I'm there or I'm on this. I'm part of that. I can't. I have to be neutral.
Do you want me to tell you my suggestion you should tell Eric? Forget Sabu. Book Ricky Steamboat.
I agree.
A bigger draw and apparently a lot nicer guy.
Oh, Ricky is. I've been around Ricky a little, not a lot, a little, but his reputation goes before him. He is a very honorable man. If he's not there, he's in the hospital or dead.
Yeah.
If he has accepted a booking, he's not going to do like Sabu did to the guys in Minneapolis and, oh, I need an extra $1,000 the day before.
Yeah. One of the best gifts I ever gave my younger brother was a cameo by Ricky Steamboat on his birthday. And it was about an 8-minute video of Steamboat. Yeah, and my brother said he was never expecting that from me or anybody, he said that was one of the best gifts he ever got.
And am I mistaken in the fact that most people who do those cameos only do 2 or 3 minutes? Am I correct in my assumption?
Some people go out of the way. Like I'll never forget Tori Wilson did a Doubtfire face challenge for suicide and depression awareness for me.
Oh,
It
my.
says a lot about her.
Yes, it does. Yes, it
Yeah,
does.
that involved taking a pie in the face, and she did it.
But and then you've got people like Sabu who are putting
Hmm.
a scar on the name of wrestling.
So my suggestion to Eric: get Ricky Steamboat, get Tori Wilson.
Yes.
The fact that she
Well,
did that
the thing,
says a lot about her character.
see, the thing is, the reason that Eric gave Sabu a second chance, because this is not the first time he's messed Eric over, is because they've been friends for 30 years. And like I started to say, one part of me, excuse my language, but don't, wants to bitch slap Sabu so bad. But the other side of me in the investigation that I've been doing, because you know me, I don't talk out of my butt. When I talk about what I know.
Hmm.
And it seems that since Michelle, I believe her first name, Michelle Coates, Super Genie, since she died 2 years ago, is when Sabu just went straight downhill.
Sad, yeah.
And I'm wondering. In fact, I'm not wondering. I've been there, because the year after my husband died, I was worthless. I was worthless to my son. I was worthless. I was worthless to my dogs, you know, and I'm wondering if this is not what's going on with Sabu, because the timeline fits from
Well,
where
I
he
hope he
started.
straightens his stuff up because Sabu is a talent, but you don't want to burn these kind of bridges. I know one thing though, what Eric wanted to do. I don't know Eric personally. I never heard of him until you brought him up, but I know for a fact just through my sixth sense that he really, if he was still alive, he wanted to book the Iron Sheik to sit right beside you. So that you could make kissy faces back and forth with him.
Well, I don't think so, Tim.
Don't you love coming on this show?
I don't think so, Tim.
He wanted to put Volkov and the Sheik there with you and Velvet, and
Uh, I think Velvet might have something to say about that.
do you think Velvet could handle the big burly Russian?
She'd light his hairs on fire.
Oh, I love Sheik and Volkov. I tell you, those two watching
They were something else, weren't
they
they?
were they were.
If you tried to do that today, it's kind of like comedy today with all of these
Well, the Iron Sheik
cancel.
never, ever, ever spit on the United States flag. He always spit on the mat. It was all an act. What I
Right.
didn't like was, and I saw this pissed me off. Shawn Michaels taking our Canadian flag and sticking it up his nose and letting it hang. I'm like,
You should never disrespect another country's flag. You should treat it with the same reverence you have for our
he
flag.
rubbed our flag on his crotch. He spit on it, stomped on it. I'm like, and people are saying it, people are like talking about Sean like he's some kind of great thing. Had Bret Hart done that to the American flag, they would have been calling for his head. But Shawn Michaels, oh, let him off. No, I
Well,
would
you know what?
never.
Do you know what that is? Do you know what that is? That's what we call cheap heat.
That's what I've heard it
Because
called.
because he can't get it on his own.
Mm-hmm.
It's cheap heat, and it's no. I mean, even oh shoot, what was his name?
And let's not forget, Triple H had to basically fuck his way up to the top. He's another guy I have no respect for. None.
I have in my possession the dictation that was taken when Stephanie and Vinnie Mac were before Congress, where they said, and I quote, I have never seen a life altering, life ending, or career altering, or career ending injury happen to a wrestler in the ring.
Oh, what about Owen Hart?
What about me?
Yes. What about you? That's right.
What about and I can't remember all their names. There's other wrestlers. There's wrestlers who have literally, and I cannot remember his name to save my soul. I'm sorry. But he went and tagged his partner into the ring and he sat in the corner and he died in the ring
Oh, I
on
never heard of that
TV.
one.
Yes. As soon as I find it again, I'll let you know.
Or Sid Vicious jumping off that second rope there, and his shin just broke and went sideways,
Right.
And
Right.
oh my goodness, yeah.
I mean, I've broke my collarbone in the ring. I've broke my neck in the ring. God knows how many times I've majorly twisted ankles, wrists, dislocated knees. Yet Vinnie Mac and Stephanie can get before Congress and say they never saw a life altering, life ending, job altering, or job ending injury in the ring. I'm sorry. I believe they're lying.
Yeah, I believe they're lying too. Triple H, they did China wrong because China was a draw.
Mhm.
They did her wrong. Yep.
They did her wrong. They did Wendy wrong. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
look at what they did to women's wrestling. They turned it into a lingerie TNA show.
Yep.
And when people ask me, aren't you surprised when all this came out about Vinny defecating on this woman's chest or letting three men have her while he watched? Aren't you surprised? No, I'm not surprised. Look at what he did to women's wrestling. That right there tells you he hates women. And I'm sorry, I'm raising my voice, but
No, you go right ahead.
what this man did to my business when he said, when he had those women dance in three triangles and butt floss, the only thing that was missing by the pole was the pole. And from what I understand, one of them was crying on her way to the ring because she didn't want to do it, but she knew if she didn't do it, she was fired. So I don't blame the women. I blame Vinnie Mac. He is the name, he is the last name to sign off on it. Yes, Vinnie Russo can come up with it. But the last name you see on that piece of paper is Vincent McMahon Jr.
Let's face it, we all know The Undertaker had the streak at WrestleMania, the winning streak. But Vince McMahon, he has the losing streak. Because let's face it, he couldn't beat his way out through a wet paper bag in a real fight. He got punched out by Bret Hart. He got choked out by Bad News Brown. He
Yep.
got choked out by Nails. I'd love to have Nails on here just to celebrate that. And of course, now he's getting his ass handed to him by this petite woman named Janelle Grant. If somebody told me that Vince wanted to see me outside, I wouldn't be worried about it. Now, if somebody told me Brock Lesnar did, okay, I'd have a reason to fear. But if somebody said Vince, I'm like, okay, I'll be right there. What's he going to do?
How many seconds before I can be there?
Yeah, it's
And
like, how many steroids is he going to take and then deny doing it?
right. You can look at him. Look at him in 1980 and look at him now. His
Still
neck
a
was
pussy.
his neck was that big when I knew him.
Mm-hmm.
My neck was bigger than his. Of course, it looked good on me.
Yeah.
But what Vinny has done to this business is absolutely disgusting.
It's funny you
When
mentioned that because I was listening to something last night, a shoot interview by Bobby Heenan, Bobby the Brain Heenan, and that was
this was
back.
before Bobby died, right?
Yeah,
Had the
and
surgeries.
Bobby said that he was always open to doing whatever humiliating thing the managers had to do. He was asked to do this thing where the big boss man come out
Uh,
and like strip the clothes off him, and he'd have like underwear on that had hearts on it. And he
no,
was like, he was
no.
all for it until he thought about it, and he was like, no. He says he has a daughter in Catholic school, and he said this could be bad. And he
This
said,
could be very embarrassing to his daughter, which means he put family first.
so he said to Vince, he said, how about this? How about the big boss man take me out there and handcuff me into the ring? I'm out there the whole time for every match, and all the baby faces come out and mock me or whatever, spray me with whatever. And he said that would be just as good.
If not better.
And Vince's whole thing was, you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. And he said, no, I can't do it because of this. Vince left him slam the door.
Right. Right.
I'd love for Vince to try that with. I'm sorry, I'm not saying I'm a big tough guy. I wouldn't worry about anything Vince would do to me. Sorry,
He's
he's a
he's
pussy.
nothing. He's nothing. He's got muscles. Okay.
Yeah, it's like, so what?
The bigger your muscles, the slower you move. That's a scientific fact. And when you're taking steroids, you know, I just take a baseball bat with me. I mean, I'd bust the muscles up. I let me put it this way. I have cried over a lot of my brothers and sisters passing.
Mm-hmm.
I will not cry about Vince McMahon. I will thank the gods that he is gone and maybe wrestling can get back to where it was, because the matches that I've been watching, the ones here in Oklahoma with Tommy Pantera, Wagman, and the ones I saw in Georgia with Eric Nelson, totally old school.
I'll tell you one thing. With WWE, I love what the women's division is now. I absolutely love Charlotte Flair.
Well,
It,
actually, I've been taking a peek at those lately because I've had some people put an elbow in my ribs,
yeah,
and
Charlotte is amazing.
they're starting to look more like women wrestlers instead of Playboy centerfolds, and they actually know the difference between a headlock and hammerlock.
Well,
Uh,
Charlotte takes a lot of the best things that her dad did, Ric Flair,
right.
but she also applies her own thing. I've seen her do stuff in the ring that just. She had a match at WrestleMania a few years back with Asuka, and they were up on the top rope, and she did this flip move that involved both of them. And I don't know if I've seen it done before, but it was like, wow, like Charlotte Flair was on my radar. It's like she's not mimicking her dad. She's making it her own. She is
Do me a
I'm totally
favor.
invested.
Do me a favor and send me a link to that because I would like to see that. I really would.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing the women like Sumi Sakai, and the other women's on the ROH roster
Mm-hmm.
that are melding into the other territories now. Miranda Gordy, it's old school wrestling and it's female wrestling. It's not female dancing and tiptoeing across the ring. It's female wrestling. It's women's wrestling. What Vince did with those lingerie matches. I mean, and I haven't seen one, thank God. He's still alive. You know I haven't seen one. But I've heard of him, and it breaks my heart what he put those women through. How much do these women have to have loved the business to have done these things just to be in the business? And I don't think a lot of people look at it that way. They could make, as beautiful as these women were, I'm sure they could have gone to Hollywood, even doing commercials, could have made more money than what Vinnie Mac paid them. But they loved wrestling so fiercely that they were willing to do this crap that Vinnie made them do. And like I said, I don't blame them. I blame it right on Vinnie Mac. He's the perv. And I've been watching Independence. I've been watching, somebody will send me something from the WWE with the women in it, and I'll admit I've taken a look or two. But what I'm seeing now is much better than what I've seen in the last 20 years. I mean, and I will be so glad when he is completely out of WWE.
Did you hear the story about, speaking of women wrestler, and she is sadly gone now at 39 years old, Ashley Mazzaro?
No, I
She
have
was
not.
she was a female wrestler, very lovely, but she was and I'm going by what's been said on Wrestling with the Devil with Lee Cole, and
Right.
what's been being said on other sites. But Ashley Mazzaro, they did something overseas that I don't remember where it was. And I don't know whether she had an injury or whatnot, but it was where the soldiers were. It was something to do with an honor of the soldiers. And they put her under, and she was raped. And when she come back over, they didn't want anything said about it because they
Whoa,
didn't
whoa,
want
whoa,
bad.
whoa, whoa,
Yeah,
whoa, whoa. She was raped by who?
one of the soldiers.
And they didn't go to this man's captain?
Nope, because they didn't want to have division between them and who they were dealing with there. And
Are you
apparently,
kidding?
Vince's name was in this, and so was Stephanie. Nothing was done, and it had a great effect on Ashley Mazzaro.
Yeah, you've read my book. You know I'm a survivor. I know what that does to that literally rips your soul out of your body and
Ashley
takes
hung herself, and she left behind 1 or 2 kids.
that.
Yeah. I say
That's
if you
that's
listen to,
another life. That's another life that you lay right in Vinnie Mac's lap.
if you
He
listen to,
should have been man enough to
yeah,
stand up and make this soldier accountable. No, not all our soldiers are like this. That's one in a million. He doesn't belong in our military. This is the type of man that's going to go into a village, be shooting people, and he's going to hide behind and he's going to rape women and children. And he was not called to the carpet for it. So, how many more rapes happened because Vinnie Mac did not call this man to the carpet? How many other men and children, or women and well, possibly men too, women, children, and men were raped or terrorized by this soldier?
I would recommend, if you haven't, that's called Wrestling with the Devil. It's on YouTube. It's done by Lee Cole. Lee Cole's had his dealings with Vince because his brother committed suicide. I'm trying to think what his brother's name was, but he was one of these ones that was made a bunch of promises by WWE. And whoever Vince's lawyer was played a hand in this as well.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
One of
And
his 5 lawyers.
oh yeah, really, yeah. But
Oh, I know for a fact he's got 5 lawyers. I'll tell you that how I know that one day.
yeah, but I listen to his podcast every now and again, and the stuff he's been talking about on there is really chilling, you know. But he's got it in for Vince because of the suicide of his brother. He's brought up the Ashley thing on a few occasions. You know, I'll have to link you to that because
Do you know what Don Owens, Bill Watts, Sandy Barr, Harley Race, Charlotte, I just had a blank. Charlotte, North Carolina, wrestling. Promoter's name.
I don't know. All I can think is Charlotte Flair.
Oh, I'm gonna get ribbed on this one because I wrestled for him. But the promoters that I know and knew in the business, I had a man, and I'm not gonna mention his name one time, that we were in Louisiana, we were working for Bill Watts. Magnum TA was there, like I said, a good friend. Terry Taylor was there, a good friend. Bundy Landell was there. And then there was this idiot who likes to slap reporters. I'm not going to mention his name. And we were at a convention center, and it was a maze to the ring.
hmm
So Bill Watts had this wrestler lead me to the ring, set him up with me. We were standing there waiting for my name to be called. My name gets called. We head for the ring. We go left, right, right, left. They call my name a second time. I'm still trying to get to the ring. After they call my name a second time, he opens a door and starts to drop his trunks. Like I'm going to do something right there while I'm being called to the ring, much less I would this guy, there ain't enough liquor, drugs, or money in the world. Um actually in the universe. Um and I looked at him, I said, let me tell you this. I might not whoop your ass, but you're gonna know I was there. Get me to the ring and get me to the ring now. They called my ring. They called my name a third time. In my day and time, 3 calls to the ring and you don't answer, you're done. You are fired. I walked back into the dressing room and Terry Allen came in there, Magnum TA came in there, and basically he said WTF. And I told him what happened, down to this man dropping his trunks. I was there either 2 or 3 weeks, and I never saw that man in another arena or in a match the entire time I was there. That's how the promoters took care of the women that I know of. If 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 somebody had raped me, they better give their souls to God because their ass was the promoters or one of my brothers who happened to be in the territory. I cannot imagine what this woman went through. Well, actually, I can, because my biological mother, I told her 4 different times about the fact that my stepfather was raping me. And the first time she slapped me across the room and called me a lying whore. And after that, my name was whore, bitch, whatever. So I can imagine how this woman felt. And I tried, I'm not going to lie, I tried so many times to die.
I'm
And
glad you
that's why,
didn't.
thank you. That's why I wrote that book the way I wrote it. Is if one person, whether it be rape, abuse, whatever, reads that and saw that I went from this really, really dark place to this really, really bright place to where my family was a wrestling family and they had my back. If one person says, I'll try one more day. If Princess can do it, I'll try one more day. If that book saves one person's life who has been in that situation, be it that young lady's or mine, and my book saves one life, then I've done what I have accomplished.
And a lot of people liked Ashley Masereau too, so it was crushing hearing that story.
I actually think I read something about her suicide on Facebook. I believe that was back pre 1915 or 2015.
Yeah, it would have been. Yep, yep. She used to wear the cap on backwards, going to the ring and whatnot, and she was a very chipper performer. So it's sad to hear it, and I've heard nice things about her outside the ring. But Vince
That's
seems to think he's God's gift to women, and I'm like,
He's God's gift to women, all right. They live in a pig pen.
you know.
um,
But as far as I'm concerned, Vince is a weak man as far as I'm concerned.
he's weak with Snickers. He's weak with, like I said, if any of those promoters found out, if I went to any one of those promoters and said so and so raped me,
I wouldn't want to be in their shoes dealing with Harley Race, I'll tell you that.
with Harley or Magnum TA or
Magnum TA. I'm a
Terry
big
Taylor,
Harley Race fan. Harley
right?
Race slammed Andre without the steroids.
And yeah,
Something.
and he slammed him first. WWE tries to take all that. No, I think that happened in the Pacific Northwest, did it not? In Seattle?
I don't know, but before Hogan did it, um, Harley Race did it, Antonio Inoki did it, Kamala did it. None of them were doing steroids.
No, none of them. None of them. And well, I mean, you know dang well, Vinny's trying to change history.
Yep.
The proof in the pudding is he claims that I can't remember the two girls' names, but that they were the first tag team for the WWF. And when that came up, my page lit up because everybody knows that it was Velvet and I.
Oh boy, I love watching you and Velvet in the ring.
Oh, believe me, it was wrestling against each other or with each other in a tag team. It was magic.
Stop
Uh,
and think about this. Like, I didn't know who you were until I was trying to find Velvet.
I
And you
remember
mentioned something about her hearing or whatnot. And then I just kind of just checked you out, and I was like,
right.
holy shit, I should have you come on, And like, I went from watching you guys in tag matches to just watching you do solo matches.
Right.
And I was like, I gotta talk to Princess Victoria, because I was just enjoying what I was seeing. And if, as amazing as I thought Velvet was, you were every bit as amazing. Especially loved it when you were doing the war chant, and you'd be going around the
Well,
ring doing.
I only did that a couple of times.
I loved it when you did it.
I only did that a couple of times and only because it was called for.
And those
Um,
pigtails you had, those pigtails always getting grabbed.
oh no, I'm surprised they were not the death of me because everybody grabbed a hold. Um, but being with Velvet, um, whether we were wrestling against each other or with each other it was so easy.
Magic.
Yes, we
That's how
didn't
I would
talk.
describe it.
We didn't talk. Velvet was half deaf in one ear and couldn't hear out the other. How could we talk in the ring? We didn't talk. It was just like,
Are you telling me if she comes on here, I'm going to have to learn sign language?
no, but you're gonna have to talk pretty loud. And if she gets on here, you better look to the gods and say thank you in 10,000 ways because it will be the first time.
You bring her on here. Oh yeah.
If I can get her on, I will.
You tell her I
I'm
have an
not.
Iron Sheik doll here and she'll come on for sure.
You ain't right, boy. You ain't right. I love doing interviews with you because I never know what the hell you're coming up with.
Yeah,
I keep expecting Jimmy to come out and say, "Hey, princess."
I would love to get a Jim Cornette figure. I'll tell you that.
No,
I
I'm
would
talking
love
about
to.
the live Cornette. You know, hit you in the back of the head with his tennis racket, you pass out, and him take over the interview. I keep
Oh,
expecting that to happen.
yeah. Oh, I love Jim Cornette. But no, I watched all those matches and I just got engrossed with it and watching, of course, Wendi Richter and of course Judy Martin, Leilani Kai.
You've now mentioned the cream of the crop.
Yep.
Wendi Richter, Leilani Kai, Judy Martin, Velvet McIntyre, Penny Mitchell,
Hmm.
uh,
I got to
and
get a few of these people on the show because, like I said, I've had Teal Piper on, of course. I had her on in tribute to her and Cole on tribute to Roddy, and I still have her and Damos, her partner, on here every year. I brought this book up to her. I told her the Ric Flair story in the pool and her dad trying to almost naming her Chelsea Marie.
what did she say?
She never heard that before, but she laughed.
Well, I mean, I'm not the only one who heard it. So did Sika and Afa, because
Yeah.
we were all forced. Three of us were bound. Me, Sika, and Afa. Roddy had come up with a name, and then of course you had to have a middle name. But the last thing that I remember was Chelsea Marie. And I was sitting there with my brothers, just and a lot of people don't realize that was Piper. He was totally family orientated. You
That's what
know,
I hear. Yeah.
yeah, he was. His family was everything. Kitty was everything. Colt and Teal. And his what is his other daughter's name? And I feel so
Oh,
bad.
he's got they all had like Disney princess names too.
Of course they did, because
Anastasia.
right, right. Because in his eyes, his girls were princesses. Why not name them after one? I mean, that's what they were.
Yeah.
And I mean, it that's just the way he is, and a lot of people don't realize that, because they see the Piper on TV. They don't see the Piper, excuse me, not Piper. No, a lot of people have not seen Roddy off of TV. Seen Roddy as a person.
I did meet at Frightmare in the Falls a couple of years ago. I met Keith David, who worked with Roddy Piper and They Live. And he spoke very fondly of working with Roddy and said that Piper choreographed that big alley fight scene they had. Yep. So he just followed Piper's lead and they did it. And Keith was just a nice guy to meet. And I got him to sign a picture of him and Piper that was on his table from that movie. But
See, I didn't know. Now you're telling me something I didn't even know. I did not know that Piper was part of the choreography of that movie.
oh yeah, They Live. John Carpenter movie. Here's the interesting thing about that. If I ever meet John Carpenter, I'm going to ask him what it was like to be there at WrestleMania 3, which to me is the greatest WrestleMania ever, because that's where he went and saw Roddy Piper retire and defeat Adrian Adonis in that hair match. And he recruited Alice Cooper for Prince of Darkness, and he was in Jake the Snake's corner when he took on the Honky Tonk Man.
See,
And
I missed all that because I saw the schoolgirl outfits with Moo and May, and then I saw what
yeah, but
happened.
that was in 1987. That was before that. But their conversation on the commentary track between Piper and John Carpenter, they eventually started talking about the Ricky Steamboat Randy Savage bout that pretty much stole the show.
Of course they did. You're talking about two of the greatest, Randy Savage and Ricky Steamboat in the ring.
Yeah.
I'd give my top plate to see that.
Well,
I
John
could always
was
buy
right
another.
there. Like, I would love to ask him
God.
what that was like, being there, seeing that. Because to me, WrestleMania 3's never been topped, as far as I'm concerned.
I've heard a lot about WrestleMania 1 and WrestleMania 3.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard a lot about the rest of them. From what I understand, this last WrestleMania they had was a complete letdown to the fans, that they were not impressed at all.
Well, Charlotte Flair was not on the card, so that was kind of a letdown. I think she had an injury or something like that, but
right.
I would recommend checking out some Charlotte Flair matches, because Charlotte is great. You know,
I will. I'll be honest with you. I will, because she's a legacy.
Yeah, but she takes the business seriously, and like I said, I'll see if I could find that match between her and Asuka from WrestleMania, whatever it was, a few years ago, because that was a great match. But it certainly, my respect for Charlotte went way up, because that match had a lot of skill in it. That match did, and
I love seeing a match with skill. It's like that gentleman I was telling you about, Cameron Starr.
Mm-hmm.
I met him, and within the year of me meeting him, he had become a promoter. He was trained by Sandy Barr, Ed Wiskowski, and Buddy Rose.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, he's my junior by years. And I went to his first show. And normally, when you've got a promoter that's running, when you've got a wrestler who's promoting, they put themselves over, they put themselves in the main event. The first thing I noticed was Cameron was in the first match. They did, and it's not easy to mark me out. If you can get me to go, oh, or go, damn, you've done something. I did that more than 5 times during this 5-minute match. Cameron threw this guy into the corner. The guy hit the turnbuckles so hard, the ring slid a foot in that direction. They did a 10-minute to the draw technical match. No heel, no baby face. Totally technical wrestling. And as long as I've been around the business, I'm 63. I started watching wrestling.
I thought you were 39.
39 with 24 years of experience. But after when the referee held both hands up that it was a draw, and I saw this with my own eyes, this isn't somebody telling it, this is me seeing it. The crowd stood up. It was a small venue. It was about 200, 250 people. Number one, he sold out on his first ever booking. And when they said raise the hands, the entire crowd stood up chanting 10 more minutes. I have never in my entire career or watching wrestling seen that happen in a technical match.
And folks, the only time that's ever happened with Princess Victoria is when she said 10 more minutes with the Iron Sheik. That was the only other time that happened.
Excuse me, folks. I need to go find my gun now. Shall we all have a moment of silence for the great Gilbert?
Oh my goodness.
I love
Yeah,
doing that.
Vince is about to job out, as they say, to Janelle Grant, and I hope she wins.
Right?
You know, I know WWE's going to try to play dirty with it, but
Of
I
course they are.
personally, regardless what people say about Triple H, I think he should go too.
I think the entire crew from the top to the bottom in the management needs to be completely replaced.
Ronda Rousey had said, as long as Bruce Pritchard, aka Brother Love, is in that company, Vince is still part of it. What do you say to that?
I say what I just said. I think the entire management crew from the top to the bottom needs to be replaced. Now, who they need to replace them with?
Jim Cornette
Actually, yes.
and Jesse Ventura.
Yes. Yes. Um um well, Brett's not doing well right now, but yes, there needs to be old school wrestlers up there.
Was
That
Bret Hart at that event you were at?
No, I wish he had been. Now, Bret Hart was in Georgia when I was in Georgia to do the territories.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't on the same segment I was, but I saw him that night. I walked into the restaurant, into the motel, and when you walk into a motel and it's 8 o'clock at night, there's a lounge. You know where the boys are. So I got my key, I dropped my bag, and I was good 20 feet from the table.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, Luke Williams stood up. Sheep herders,
Yep.
bushwhackers.
Yep.
He recognized me from 20 feet away. 40 years and 40 pounds later, I didn't know that Luke even knew my name because he was, main event. Yes, he was there, but I didn't. And he gave me an old style daddy bear hug. You know, those ones where you want to sink in because it's not the perv, it's a real hug. And then he sat down, and I learned something that night. He told Brett and No Class Bobby Bass how Velvet and I had earned our stripes, that he had been in the crow's nest in Portland watching us train with Sandy Barr. And he took two other wrestlers of my era. He put me over like $1 million. I didn't even know Luke knew my name. And I'm sitting there choking up because I had a lot of respect for Luke and Butch because they terrified me as a child.
And then they became like favorites in the WWE as the Bushwhackers.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Well, they were the sheep herders.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware. Yeah. Yeah.
But doing these shows that I've been doing, going to Vice, going to Eric's Breakfast of the Champions, it has been so good to hook up with some of my friends that I haven't seen in 40 years.
Yeah.
Like I said, Jake and Cheryl, they choked me up. I mean, it was everything I could do. I had to walk away because I was ready to cry. It was just so good to see him like that.
Yeah.
And Abby had his wife, I believe it was his wife, whoever it was, she rolled with an iron whip. She took care of Abby. Um, and Buff Bagswell was there. I forgot my hip boots.
I was
me,
gonna, huh?
me and Buff's wife had a really good time at Buff's expense.
Yeah. I was going to ask, going back to, I know we've talked about Vince. What do you think of John Laurinaitis saying that, oh, he's just as much a victim in this because of, Vince? And I'm like, no, you're not a friggin' victim. You went up right,
who
right along. John Laurinaitis.
who the hell is that?
He's one of the people that joined Vince and
You can't call it a menage a trois when there's 6 people involved. That
yeah.
I think is what they call a train.
Mm. Okay, you're not aware of that. He's another one that's under fire over this whole Vince thing.
Mhm.
Um, but we haven't talked about somebody else that I know you're such a huge fan of, and they should do an entire
Scared to
book.
death. I am scared to death right now who you're going to mention.
Yeah, we needed that. There needs to be an entire book. There's actually YouTube channels devoted to Hulk Hogan's lies over the years. Did you know, according to according to one of these, Hulk Hogan partied with John Belushi after WrestleMania 2. That was 1986. It's amazing because John passed away in 1982.
Well, damn, he had a medium and a seance then, didn't he?
According to Hulk Hogan, apparently Harley Race set the ring on fire and then came and asked him for a job.
I know he waited till Harley was dead to say that, right?
Yep.
Chicken shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Hulk Hogan says that Metallica was going to have him be a bassist or a guitarist for their band. Something that they said no, that was never in the cards.
Between him and Ric Flair, um, it's uh it's kind of sad if you look at it. You know, I can tell my story and nobody's going to buck me on it because I tell the truth. But when you're talking about Jim Belushi was there in 86 and he died in 82, why?
Did you hear the one where Hulk Hogan says that he was originally supposed to be the guy starring in The Wrestler, the Mickey Rourke movie? Yet Darren Aronofsky said that conversation was not only never happened, but never crossed his mind. Darren
Because
Aronofsky was the director.
can you imagine? And Hulk Hogan, I call him Terry because that's how I met him, was Terry in the Pacific Northwest. Can you imagine Terry doing the part of Mickey Rourke? I mean, I saw that. That and Billion Dollar Baby or Million Dollar Baby.
Hmm.
Those two are the closest thing to wrestling and boxing you will ever get. My husband did not know, and my son did not know that I was a wrestler until my son was 15, which would have made it 2007, the year before he died, the year before my husband died. And I wanted to watch Million Dollar Baby. And he was not into it. You know, he knew I was a wrestler and all that. And I looked over as Clint Eastwood walks out of her room and she dies. I look over, excuse me, and my husband's got tears in his eyes. And I mean crocodile tears.
Mm-hmm.
And he looked at me. He said, I'm so, because he did not want to watch this movie, but he did because I wanted to. That's the way we were. We traded hits. You know, I took one for the team and he took one for the team. And he looked at me. He said, I'm so glad you made me watch this. And I looked at him and tears just, I mean, and he said, I understand you so much better now. So, excuse me. I'm
Af-
old and I'm emotional.
Afterwards, did you guys watch My Little Pony?
Well, of course we did. I had a little boy who wanted to watch all them pretty little girls ride all them pretty little ponies.
Was Velvet McIntyre on one of those ponies?
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. If not, she was feeding them in her backyard.
How did I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but how was Velvet with dealing? Like I've heard about your sexual harassment in wrestling. What was it like for Velvet?
Nobody touched Velvet. Nobody touched Velvet.
Mhm.
I would not allow it. You started messing with Velvet, you messed with me. And if you messed with me, you messed with my brothers. And Velvet, when I met her, when she came down to Portland from Vancouver, and she's going to kill me if she sees this. Oh, God. Y'all just don't bring roses. I like calla lilies. Velvet, to say the least, Velvet was still living at home. Okay. Amongst other first, I was the first one to introduce Velvet to alcohol. Velvet was a very, very strictly brought up young lady. And then, God bless her soul, Sandy put her in touch with me. We had so many good times on the road. How the hell in now our first year we were in the same car, same motel, wrestling each other in the ring. And she never got mad at me. I do not remember Velvet and I ever having even a disagreement. She either had the patience of Job or I was being a good girl. I'm not sure which. Might have been a little bit of both. In fact, I just talked to Velvet yesterday and it was so good hearing her voice.
When you talk to her again, you tell her I said hello. I'm a fan from way, way back with her, you know?
Yep, I
You
will let her
know?
know. Like I said, she's never done an interview. And for her to be a part of what I'm trying to get up off the ground right now, and her to give me a yes, that's like rolling the stone away.
Well, you know, I'm not saying she has to come on here, but if she did, she's more than welcome to come on with you.
Oh, I know, and
I would definitely welcome that, but I
I
also understand her ailment with her hearing and whatnot too. But you know, but
well,
I
that's
have.
why I was surprised when she called me yesterday because she hates to talk on the phone because of her hearing.
Mhm.
And then I found out about the cataracts having come back.
I just had that this year.
She had it 5 years ago, and now she's having to have it again.
Back in January, um, January 10th, actually, I had black blotches coming like spots in front of my right eye. And I went to
Uh-huh.
my eye doctor, and he said it just comes with age. So I took it as that. Exactly 10 days later, I'm at work. And I was at my brother's earlier in the night, and everything was fine, nothing different. I get to work that night, and it's like 80% of my vision is covered like from like a black sheet.
Oh, geez.
So, and that was just in the right eye. I could still drive. My left eye was 20/20. So I
Right.
go to my eye doctor, and he tells me that I'm going to have to get a retina operation.
Exactly.
So I've had that done, and I had a cataract operation. They don't even put you under for that, which it's like very Clockwork Orange like, but it wasn't painful. And then I had a laser thing done, so I'm taking some drops. Like if I close this eye and look at you, you're a little distorted, but I can see you, you know? You
Well,
know?
see, if Velvet does that, it's a total blur.
Yeah.
She can, I mean, if you can imagine looking through a fog, is what I got from her. And I'm sure you understand that. You've seen that.
Yeah.
Um, if she closes one eye, she sees a blur, which that's what happens if I take my glasses off, I'm legally blind. I have if the cops happen to pull me over and I don't have my glasses on, I'm in big trouble.
This is
Um,
all you have to see.
I love you so much, Greg. You are so much fun. Oh, ah,
God
you
rest his soul, the Irish Sheik. He's still bringing us joy even after his passing.
well, you know he did not believe women belonged in wrestling, right?
You know what? I believe women belong anywhere where their skills can be met.
Oh, I'm not saying it's bad. I mean, he was
Yeah.
just so old school, old school. I
Yeah.
mean, he was old school before old school was even thought of.
Yeah.
But he did not. I happened to walk into Walmart in Franklin, Virginia, and he was doing a signing there, and his wife was there. And I, of course, asked his wife, tell her who I am, and I'd like to walk up to and say hello to the sheik. And she said, he doesn't like women wrestlers, right? And I said, yeah, why else do you think I want to give him a hug? And she giggled and said, go for it. And as I was giving him a hug, I whispered in his ear, I said, this is Princess Victoria. I tagged with Velvet McIntyre. We were the tag team champions. I still love you, you asshole. And he acted like he hadn't heard a thing. But I happen to have, when you're wearing glasses and you get the rear views because the light hits them just right.
Yeah.
I caught a smile.
I bet you did.
um, I've said this before and maybe not enough. Wrestling saved my life twice. Saved my life when I was 14. And it's done it again in my old age. I went from being a total recluse, sitting in my room, maybe talking on Facebook, to now I'm doing shows, signature shows and all that. And I am actually, as always, having a ball in wrestling. I love meeting the fans. I love meeting the young kids that are coming up that I saw at this show last weekend, and they're sponges. I mean, they will sit there and they will just soak up knowledge if if their promoter and trainer has trained them right. And it's just so good to see. I'm hoping that what I'm seeing is a change in wrestling, that we're going from the bumpity bump 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 to headlocks and hammerlocks.
You going to do a headlock and a hammerlock on Jim Cornette?
Of course I do. I want to stick his face right up here, and I want to be real sweaty and not having taken a bath in 10 days.
Oh my goodness, you know.
Oh, I have wrestled a girl. She didn't last long, and I'm not gonna say her name, but when I got in the ring with her and she put me in a headlock, it was like
You want me to tell you a story? I heard that Owen Hart was such a ribber that one time he wrestled Bret Hart and put sardines in his armpits.
would not surprise me in the least.
So when he got Bret Hart in a headlock, Bret Hart said he nearly killed him.
Oh God, I wish I could have seen that match. I wish to hell, because I would have known, because you tell everybody else in the dressing room except for your intended victim. So everybody comes out to watch. I would have loved to have seen that.
Oh, I've
And
heard some rib stories. Like I heard Mr. Fuji was real bad for ribs. One of my favorite rib stories I ever heard, and I laughed my ass off, was Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, was in a plane with Yokozuna, and he had what appeared to be these fitness bars or whatever, and he offered one to Yokozuna, not telling him that it was laced with laxative.
that's typical.
Yeah.
That's typical.
Needless to say, they didn't have a washroom at the back of that plane that Yokozuna could go in. And the stewardess had to
Oh
lay out
God,
newspapers for him to shit on.
I was on a plane when I flew to Georgia this weekend. Now, yes, I'm a little oversized. The bathrooms are this wide now. They're they've got two bathrooms in the place of one on the planes now. It is ridiculous. God forbid somebody come in like Abby or somebody like that. There's no way they can get in the bathroom. So I get it. I could not believe it. I'm in there and I'm literally sitting there like this, and you have to stand up to take care of anything. And I can't imagine somebody like him having to get in one of those bathrooms. That it was ridiculous. Yes, I got myself a nonstop to Atlanta and nonstop back. Um, Eric Nelson trusted me enough to send me my plane money. He sent me my plane money and trusted me enough to make my own reservations.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to find, one one way, one no stops. Everything else was like they take you from where I am in Oklahoma down to Houston or Dallas, and you'd have a 12 to 27-hour layover there. No, Dallas is 3.5 hours from me. I can drive to Dallas and fly out of there. But that's the way Eric Nelson is. I mean, like it says, my new nephew.
There you
Uh,
go.
he is. He's my new nephew. The boy loves this. Yes, I said boy, Eric. I'm sorry. He's ex-military. He's been in the business for 30 years putting on shows. And he's old school. Seriously old school. When you walk in the door, you get your pay. He hands you an envelope. It's not after your match when you walk in the door. Now, he's already paid for your flight and your motel, and he's got Andy, taking you from the airport to your motel. As soon as you walk into the venue, he's got your envelope. Doesn't matter what the crowd was. And this is what happened in the old days. It did not matter what the crowd was. If they told you minimum was 200, if there were 5 people in the crowd, you got that $200. And Eric is like that. And I am so looking forward to working with him on this new project. It's not even funny.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing all about it, of course, and And I'm glad that you had fun at that event. Jake the Snake, Sergeant
Abby
Slaughter.
and Sergeant Slaughter and
Uh,
Coco Beware was there.
Did he sing for you?
No, his wife was beside him and she was making him behave. But him and I did get in a conversation about Junkyard Dog, and
Yeah.
the conversation we had really made me cry. I mean, it really broke my heart because I knew one Junkyard Dog, and I'm glad I never met the other.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
uh,
Vince McMahon, of course, screwed up everybody. So,
well, he'd bring him in. He'd make all these promises, bring him in, run him for 2 or 3 weeks, and then drop him like a hot potato. Now with Junkyard Dog, Bill Watts and Dog were closer than two ticks on a hound.
mhm.
I mean, um, Dog got his first Mercedes. Bill Watts gave Junkyard Dog his used Mercedes, gave it to him. This is how well Bill Watts treated Dog and treated the rest of us. And there was a story told where Dog was told while he was with the WWE and he was totally out of his mind. And somebody walked up to him and said, "You need to call Bill. You need to go back to work. You need to go back home." And he said, "I am so disgusted with myself. I'm too scared to call." And it breaks my heart. And I put that on Vinnie Mac. I mean, I know how good of friends that Dog and Bill Watts were. I saw it. And for Vinnie Mac to have offered Dog enough money for him to walk out on his family, that had to be a big chunk of change. Um, and it makes me very, very sad that he died before he called Bill. Because I know Bill Watts. I know what Bill Watts did for me and the rest of the wrestlers. Bill Watts would have taken him back in a heartbeat. No doubt in my mind whatsoever. But sometimes our pride messes us up.
One of the things I noticed with Coco Beware that I saw a video where he bought an electric wheelchair for Kamala when, he lost his legs to diabetes,
That
Yep.
that does not. That's Coco. That is
Kamala
Coco.
did not like Vince, I'll tell you that. Kamala had nothing good to say about Vince, and I don't blame him.
If you talk to most of the wrestlers who no longer have anything to lose where Vince McMahon is concerned, I'm going to say 75 to 99% of them have nothing good to say about Vince.
Yeah.
Um, in my opinion, Vince McMahon Jr., Vinnie Mac, has ruined our business. And it's not just the women's end of it. The way he disgraced women in the business is one thing. But, taking Terry Taylor and turning him into
The Red
the
Rooster.
right.
Yep.
Taking Adrian Adonis out of his black leather jacket that he
It's funny, I've
wore.
got an Adonis figure in here somewhere.
I hope it has a black leather jacket on it and it's not the one where he was working for Vinnie Mac. Oh, that's the one where he was working for Vinnie Mac. When I saw Adrian in Portland,
Uh-huh.
Adrian had a six-pack and he wore a black leather jacket into the ring, and he was tagged up with Ron Starr. And
I
those
was
two,
familiar with Ron Starr. Yeah.
yeah, unfortunately, he passed away several years ago too. Um, can't blame Vinny for that one. But him and Ron Starr were tag team champions in the Pacific Northwest, and they'd go against Buddy and Ed Wiskowski, Rip Oliver, all of that. I'm not going to say that 80 was skinny, but he was not anywhere near what he was for
Used to
Vinny
team
Mac.
with Jesse Ventura as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And see, the thing was in Portland and in territories like Bill Watts, we were all a family. It wasn't me trying to get this girl out of the way. It was me lifting this girl up. It wasn't, one of the wrestlers going, "Oh, 80's getting fat." It was, "Come on, 80, let's go to the gym." We were a family. And there's two people, and that includes Adrian Adonis and Buddy Rose, that came from the Pacific Northwest, that once they started, now they'd been in the Pacific Northwest for years.
Mm-hmm.
Within a year of working for Vinnie Mac, they had ballooned up 200 pounds. I could be exaggerating, but they had just swelled.
Well,
Where
they
if
took Buddy Rose and they turned him into an enhancement talent, is what they did with him.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And and that's what killed Buddy, in my opinion.
WrestleMania 1, Buddy Rose was under the mask as the executioner and that opening bout against Tito Santana. Tito Santana beat him.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. But that was Playboy Buddy Rose under the executioner mask
Well,
against
see,
Tito Santana.
I saw Buddy when he was under a mask in the Pacific Northwest, because he had lost a not only a haircut, a hair match, but a loser leave town match with Roddy Piper.
Mm-hmm.
And then he came back under a mask, and he had the leotards on and all that. But I was one of those who went, "That's Buddy Rose." Because I mean, Buddy just had this type of body. And about the third match that him and Piper had, of course, Piper pulled his mask off. And what I already knew, because I was a fan at that time, not a wrestler, what we already knew came true.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm seeing a lot of wrestlers that came from other territories that were doing well because they had family, they had brothers that went into Vince McMahon's purgatory, and they were totally different people once they joined that massacre of a team. Buddy always had problems with weight.
Mm-hmm.
But Ed Wiskowski, Roddy Piper, all of them were there helping him. All right, no, buddy, you can't have 3 banana splits in a day. They would make sure he got to the gym. If somebody was in our crew that was having drug problems, which I never saw personally, and I can't put a name on it, I am sure that our crew there had a come to Jesus meeting with him. And it's just really sad to see how many wrestlers that are dead, in my opinion, because of Vinnie Mac. Because he did not control his crew, because
Nope.
he did not set boundaries. It's really sad to see how many people died while they were working for him or
It's,
just after.
And it's funny, you mentioned Adonis and you mentioned Terry Taylor. That Red Rooster gimmick, there was no way that was going to get over. And like he was on top of his game and the other territory he was in. Why do that with
He
Terry
was not.
Taylor?
The other territory he was in was Bill Watts.
Yeah, why
I
do
know,
that
I
though?
was
Don't you
there.
want to sell tickets so? That's what I don't understand.
Um, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I truly believe that Vinnie Mac hates wrestling. That he likes to degrade not only the male wrestlers, but the female wrestlers. And the only people who are shining under his moon are the ones who says, "Fuck you, Vince. I'm going to be me. If you don't want me to be me, I'm gone. I don't need you." Um but just watching what he's done, I mean, I harp on the fact of what he's done to women's wrestling, but then you look back again, you look at Terry Taylor, you look at 80 Adrian Adonis, you look at some of the gimmicks that he insisted these men do. He's got to hate wrestling. I mean, why would you take a money maker that's going to be a money maker for 100 years and turn it into a sideshow?
He took Tony Atlas and turned him into Saba Simba. You would talk about a degrading gimmick.
What was Sabbath? Now, see, you're talking
He'd go,
about.
he'd go to the ring with African garb on and a shield and a spear and do an African dance. And I'm like, this is Tony fucking Atlas for crying out loud.
And
Not Saba
everybody knew it.
Simba.
And everybody knew by that time he was Tony Atlas
Yep.
because he was working for Bill, and him and Junkyard Dog were on top.
Yep.
Why in the hell would you do that to somebody?
Like I'd be like, wow, we got Tony Atlas. Let's see what we can put him in that we could draw money. It's like Vince is too. I don't care how many people say Vince is a genius. I think he's a stupid ass.
I do too,
I think he's a
because
stupid ass because you
I
don't bring people in to bury them. You bring people in to see what you can do to make money, sell tickets.
why yes, and that's exactly my point. If he loves wrestling so much, why would you bring in wrestlers like Tony Atlas, like Junkyard Dog, like Adrian Adonis, like Terry Taylor, and degrade them so much? Why would you do that? It makes no sense to me. Tony Atlas was over as Tony Atlas.
Yep.
He was Hercules. He was the man holding the world on his shoulder, one of the strongest men in the business. And he turned him into what you just talked about?
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
Because Vince is a moron. He's a moron.
I
Now,
think
some people like Adrian Adonis, I'll give him credit. He got the gimmick over, but Terry Taylor, he was at a loss with the Red Rooster. Matt Bourne got Doink the Clown over.
that's because Matt was just as crazy as Doink
Yeah.
needed to be.
But
Nobody
Doink
done
could have failed, but Doink didn't fail. And I think a
because
lot of it had to do with Matt Bourne. Yeah.
yes, he was the crazy clown. He
Hmm.
made what's her name in the gutter, the Stephen King.
Oh, the It Clown. Yeah.
Yes, he made the It Clown look like a gentleman
Hmm.
doing doink.
Yeah.
um Unfortunately, I was the last one to see. I was one of the last people to see Matt alive, and It was not good, and that's all I'm going to say. It was not good. I've cried a lot since that day. But he did doink. All these other doinks have no clue.
Oh.
Matt was the psycho clown, and he did it well.
Yeah.
And in spite of Vince, because who in the hell would bring in Matt Bourne, who has been Matt Bourne, Tony Bourne's son, usually a baby face, and bring him in as a clown?
He was in WrestleMania 1. He lost to Ricky Steamboat. Matt Bourne did.
I can't think of a better person to lose to.
Yeah. Oh, I love Steamboat. Go back to territory talk. What do you think of Jerry Lawler?
Jerry was always good to me, so I can't say anything bad about Jerry. There was an incident. Get ready. This is a story I only tell once in a while. Jerry was very good to us girls. He was another one that paid us, did not send the check to Moolah. So we actually got all our pay.
Wow.
Anyway, first time I went to Jerry's territory in Memphis, they had this new little prima donna, sweet little guy that had come in. And I'm not lying. The truth is, I cannot remember his name to save my soul. And him and I kind of went out and spent the night together.
Mm-hmm.
About 3 months later, I came in with Judy Martin.
Uh-huh.
And we're at the motel, and we're outside leaning on we're on the second floor, and we're leaning on the gate. And I believe it was Stan Lane. It wasn't the it wasn't the Fantastic, it wasn't the Midnight, it wasn't the Rockers. Stan Lane and him, they were I can't remember the name. Anyway, Stan pulls in and he looks up. He sees me and Judy. Princess, I need to talk to you. I said, all right, come on up. He came up and he told me how this little shit had been bragging about how he had put this on the princess the last time she was there, and ain't nobody got a chance of taking Princess out instead of him, other than him. I mean, everybody asked, did you date wrestlers? Of course we did. That's all that was around us. It's like, yeah, right. Go away. Don't make me shoot a hole in my damn screen. This is a brand. I mean, it's like when you're working in an office, who do you go to lunch with? Who do you go to dinner with? Who do you have drinks with? Do you associate with? It's the people in the office. It's the same thing with wrestling. And anyway, he told me that this boy was prancing all around the dressing room like a firefly, telling y'all ain't got any chance whatsoever after what I put on the princess last time she was here. And so us girls, usually with Jerry, we had our own dressing room. I sent message to his booker, Bill Dundee. I wanted to be in the baby face's dressing room. I didn't want my own dressing room. I wanted to be in with the boys. So now understand, kiss and tell is not allowed. If you want to kiss and tell, like if it was 80 talking to Ron Starr, his partner, that was one thing, but you don't blast it all through the dressing room. That was just wrong. And so I'm in the dressing room and I'm bending over like this and I'm lacing up my boots and somebody walks up and basically right there with their crotch, right in front of my head. And I looked up. Hey, I looked back down and I started lacing up my boots again. He said, "Hey, Princess, we're going out tonight, right?" And I looked up with one eye. I did a rock. I looked up with one eye. I said, "Why would we do that?" Something to that effect. "Oh, come on, Princess. After the time we had the last time you were here, I know we're going out this tonight." And I looked up at him and I said, "Dude, I am so sorry. I don't know how drunk I was that night, but I have no clue who the fuck you are." And this was done in front of all the boys. That's how we played the game back in those days. You don't kiss and tell. And then I make him look like a fool in front of all the boys.
Well, we had you kissing and telling tonight.
Oh, where's my gun? You have too much fun with me on this shit.
I love having fun with you on this shit. See,
Yeah.
Velvet's missing out.
Velvet would be sitting over here just like this.
And she'd be looking through the cracks of her finger. That's the Iron Sheik.
What
That's
the
the Iron
hell is
Sheik."
Mickey up to now?
Were you
That-
familiar with Adrian Street?
I never. Now this is a really weird story. Never had I never had, what's the word I'm looking for? I never had the chance to meet Adrian.
I have got to get his wife on the show here at some point. He had passed
Miss
away.
Linda.
Yeah.
What? Whoa.
Huh?
Whoa. Back up. What? When did Adrian pass away?
He passed away not too long ago. I got him up here because I got to bring something up. Yeah, he passed away July 24th, 2023. He was 82.
I had no idea he passed away, or I have forgotten, because I have a cousin that friended me because of my name, Princess Victoria.
Uh-huh.
We did not know we were cousins. He also contacted Adrian Street and he did the Adrian Street gimmick only after he got Adrian's permission to do it. Now, how weird is that for me to have a cousin that was in wrestling? He friended me because I was Princess Victoria. He had no clue that we were cousins.
Yeah.
And we found out, overall, through a little bit of conversation, that he was my first cousin.
Of course,
And
he
I
was
knew
with Miss Linda. That I was trying to find her name. It escaped me.
Miss
Yeah.
Linda. Yeah, Miss Linda. I had no idea that Adrian had passed away. No
Yeah,
idea.
he was 82, so he lived up. It's rare for wrestlers to make that. Make
Yes.
that. Well, the Bible says, you got 70 years, 80 if you're strong. And I'm sitting there thinking, how many wrestlers make it over 80? Bruno did, Killer Kowalski did,
Go back and see how many made it over 60.
Yeah.
That nighttime talk show host, his name is Colton.
Mm-hmm.
Black glasses, black frame glasses. He did a show one night and I happened to just fall into it. And he had a graph. And the bottom part of the graph was normal people in normal jobs who die at the year of 60. And they had a percentage. The next line was football players in the NFL who died around the age of 60. And that was 30% higher than normal people. Then he showed a graph of wrestlers who passed away around the age of 60. It was 30% higher than NFL football players, which means wrestlers pass away 60% higher than normal people do at the age of 60. And he sat there and and the reason he did this graph was this was at the time that wrestlers had no health insurance. Nobody was taking care of them. Once you broke apart or you couldn't wrestle anymore, bye-bye, like they did with me. And he told the people, he said, "You're the fans. You have the money. You need to put up a fight because these wrestlers are dying to give you a show, literally." And if you look back on that, Adrian living to the age of 82 is astronomical for wrestlers.
Bruno was 82. Iron Sheik made it to 81. There's a few of them.
Yes, but look at where they were and did they wrestle in the WWF, WWE?
Adrian Street, no. Bruno and Sheik did. Killer Kowalski, I think, did back when Vince Sr. was part of it, but he made it over 80. Lord Littlebrook, a midget, was
I know.
87. He
Yes.
was 87. I mean,
And for a little person, that's astronomical.
yeah,
That,
87 years old. So there's a few of them that do. Moolah
but
made
not
made
many.
it to 84.
She made it farther than that. She never told the truth about her age.
No. Well, but anyway, reason I bring up Adrian Street, I remember hearing the stories about corruption in wrestling, and the name Jimmy Salva came up. And of course, Adrian Street beat the living shit out of him in a match because he wasn't going to draw with this guy, you know.
Right.
Are you familiar with Jimmy Salva?
No, I'm not. I'm trying to figure out who he is.
Okay, he's gone now, but he was a charity guy and a kids entertainer back in the day, and but he had despite all the giving and all the charity and all that stuff he did, when he passed away, it came out that he was
A pedophile?
Yeah.
Does not surprise me in the least.
So when Miss
you-
Linda and Adrian Street were being interviewed before he passed, he talked about the fact that he beat the living shit out of Jimmy Salva in a match for real.
Because he was a pedophile.
I don't know whether he knew that or not, but I believe the promoter wanted them to come to a draw, and Adrian Street was like, "No,
Right.
no."
No, not
What does
doing
that? What does that do for me?
This guy is a clown. He's an entertainer. He's not a wrestler. No, and I can understand that being Adrian Street.
Roddy Piper refused to do the job for Mr. T. He said, "Absolutely not. I'm not going down to Mr. T."
Do you blame him?
Nope.
Show me one headlock or hammerlock that Mr. T has ever performed. You know, show me any wrestling move that, And don't get me wrong. I mean, I watched the A-Team. I was in love with them.
The one thing Mr. T did at WrestleMania 1 when they were in that tag match, it was Hulk Hogan and Mr. T versus Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff. And he did an airplane spin on Piper, but you know full well Piper helped orchestrate that in order to get somewhat something out of Mr. T for this match.
Right.
And what's funny is Vince wanted Piper to take the fall to Mr. T, and Piper said absolutely not. And then
And I
Vince,
know Piper very well.
yeah,
Piper was not a prima donna. Not ever was Piper a prima donna. That has got to be the one and only time that he has said, I will not do a job.
well, he said no to that, and then Vince went to Paul Orndorff, and Paul Orndorff said absolutely not. And they
Of
went
course.
back to Piper, and Piper said no. Finally, it came down to Hogan pinning Paul Orndorff, but they weren't going to take a pinfall to Mr. T.
Can you blame him?
Nope. Don't blame him.
This was a guy who was an actor, who happened to have, all this jewelry, and he had gotten big on the show, the A-Team.
Mm-hmm.
Show me what sports he was ever involved in. I mean, show me a video of him working out in the gym. Show me a video of him training to become a wrestler in order to be part of this match. I don't blame Paul or Piper. I'm a woman, and I wouldn't have done a job for him.
You want me to tell you what I find really amusing is that they had Jimmy Snuka in Hogan and T's corner, and they have Bob Orton and Piper and Orndorff's corner. And I'm like, why in the hell why not make it a 6-man tag?
Right.
Like, I never got that, Speaking of which, they had another match in there. It was David Sammartino versus Brutus Beefcake, which came to a double disqualification. Bruno got one of the biggest pops of the night, and I'm like, why not make it a tag match? Bruno and David against Beefcake and Johnny Valiant, and you could have it come down to David Sammartino pinning Johnny Valiant. That way, Beefcake's still strong. And you could have Bruno in the ring, which is what people want. Like, again, I'm going to say it. Vince is one stupid ass, because I could book better than he could.
He had no respect for psychology or wrestling.
No.
I mean, yes, you got to give him credit. The WWE blew up. Everybody knows who Triple H is. Everybody knows.
Oh yeah, the Triple H is the guy that slept with the boss's daughter. Yeah, I'm familiar with Triple H.
After he fucked over China, right?
Yeah. Before that, he was jobbing to the Ultimate Warrior in under a minute at WrestleMania 12.
Right.
And he didn't have all those muscles. I have no respect for Triple H. I don't care what people say. Had he not had sex and got involved with Stephanie, where would his career be?
After what he did to Piper, a week before Piper died of a heart attack. Piper, and a lot of people don't know this, Piper did, which he was good for this. Piper did an imitation or had somebody on his show.
Oh, Steve Austin. Yeah.
Yeah. And they pulled everything out from under him. All his jobs that he made money at, the WWE and Triple H pulled out from underneath him. And he was dead a week later.
And Steve Austin tried to say that it had nothing to do with him. Bullshit. I remember Billy Jack Haynes, who is right now in trouble now as we speak, but he came out and he made some challenges to Steve Austin after that. So he challenged Steve Austin to a real fight,
To a shoot. Hang
Yeah.
on, I gotta get up for a minute. I gotta refill my tea.
I can.
I saw Billy Jack Haynes at a show.
Uh-huh.
I believe it was in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
One of the promoters, one of the sponsors had flown me in, and I did. What was the young man's name that was sitting beside me? He was the same one who introduced me when I gave the fans favorite award to when I presented the fans favorite award to Judy and Leilani. Oh, what was his name? I want to say Maeve or something to that effect. And he's going to hate me that I can't remember his name. But I saw Billy Jack at that show.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember ever, which it could be just me. I don't remember having any connection or conversations or any matches when Billy Jack was working for the Pacific Northwest. I left there in early 80. I believe he started there in 81. But at this show, he came up to me like he knew who the hell I was. And I'm going, yeah, give me my hug. You know what you do when somebody says, hi, I'm so and so. I knew you when, and you can't remember their name. And he didn't look good then. I mean, he had a mouthful of missing teeth. He was as skinny as you could ask. And right after that is when I left my sister's house and I went to a friend of mine's house and heard that he was homeless in Portland.
Wow.
Right. And no people would see him riding the bus, which is I understand what he was doing because back when I was 14 and I left home, it was 35 cents to ride the bus, and you could ride it from the start to the finish, from the start to this point and then back for 35 cents. And if you sat in the back row, you could get an hour, 2 hours sleep and be warm. And that's what I understand Billy was doing. And then I saw the story where he's killed his wife. And I'm disheartened. I had understood that he was on drugs very heavily. And for somebody to have lost their life because somebody was on drugs really it's heartrending. I mean, she must have loved him to stay with him through
He
everything that
had
was.
dementia, I think.
Did she really?
Yeah. Like
Was
he was caring for her, I guess. I don't know. I've heard a
he
variety of.
couldn't care for himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
When Rip Oliver died, and I know this for a fact because I talked to Greg Oliver. Greg came on, who happens to be Rip's son, came on and he was looking for contact with Billy Jack. And I came on, I said, private message me, I need to know what's going on. I gave him the information I had. Well, what happened is Billy Jack went down, and Rip was not all here at the time.
Hmm.
And from what I understand, Billy Jack turned Rip against his own family,
Oh,
trying to get money out of Rip's estate. And that's why Greg was looking for him. It isn't just that he murdered his wife. He has been on drugs, homeless, been down, did what he did to Rip Oliver's kids. I really have no love loss for him. He finally got caught at what he was doing. I'm sorry his wife died. I wish she would have left sooner. But like you said, she had dementia. I wonder what kind of an insurance policy she had.
I don't know, but apparently her kids wanted to help take care of her, and he would not let
Yep.
the kids around, and that's sketchy enough.
Well, because she had dementia, who's got control?
Yeah.
If she's got dementia, nobody's going to listen to her saying, I want to see my kids. And whatever he told them is what they're going to listen to, which is very, very sad. I hope he pays for it in the long run. I really do.
Yeah.
Because nobody deserves what he did to her.
Now, do you share the same view? I hear a lot of this on Wrestling with the Devil as well, with Lee Cole. Do you share the same views with regards to Pat Patterson, Terry Garvin, and Mel Phillips?
I know about Pat Patterson. I know about the 10-year-old in the parking lot. If you look up an interview with Piper,
I saw that. Boy, that was disturbing.
was it not? 17 years old, left home just like I did, leave or die.
Piper looked very uncomfortable in that.
He looked very sad in that.
Yeah.
He was not lying. I know Piper well enough to know that was not a lie. That was
But yeah, if you criticize Pat Patterson, you get people calling you anti-gay or anti that has nothing to do with him
I'm
being
not anti-gay.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with
I have a gay niece. I have my best friend, Cameron Starr, is gay.
But I mean that
no-
doesn't change the fact that Pat Patterson was a predator. Call it what
Um,
it is.
I know about the 10-year-old in the parking lot. Where Pat Patterson was caught giving a 10-year-old in the back of his car a blowjob. Yeah, I said it.
Oh,
What are
I'm
you
not faulting
do?
you.
Are you gonna fire me or are you gonna eat me? No, I saw that. There is I think it's not Maury Povich, who was before him. There is one of those talk show things where you've got like 8 wrestlers on there,
Oh, I
including
saw that. Yeah.
Barry Orton,
Yep.
who said on that show,
I saw
what
that.
I'm
Yeah.
about to tell you means I will never wrestle again.
And
And that's
Vince get on there and lied through his teeth, of course,
right.
because he's a piece of shit. But I mean, Bruno Sammartino and superstar Billy Graham, they came out against Vince on that.
How can you back somebody like that?
Yeah.
You know what they would have done to somebody in the Pacific Northwest for Bill Watts? Even Al Tonko, as slimy as he is or was, That was something you did not put up with. Yes, the guys had their girl fans that were out there waiting for them, but that was a choice. They were chasing down the wrestlers. The wrestlers were not chasing them down. You cannot tell me a 10-year-old child wanted a blowjob from Pat Patterson. You cannot tell me that.
Exactly.
And
And
me being a survivor, do you know what that did to that kid?
I can just imagine.
His hero. He went out to the car with his hero. He came back with a monster. And that's disgusting. I mean, there is no promoter that I can think of other than Vinnie Mac that would have put up with that crap. Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
and you hear stories about Mel Phillips and the foot thing with kids.
That I didn't hear about.
Yeah.
I mean, there were wrestlers who we won't mention that we all know who love feet and high heels, but they're looking at adult women. Now, this kids thing, no. And they should have been put in jail. You know, when it first came out about Pat Patterson, Vinny fired him. Then how much longer was it? Then all of a sudden, Pat Patterson's back in the business. That right
Just
there
it's just
tells.
like Ronda Rousey said, as long as Bruce Pritchard is in the WWE, Vince is still part of that company.
I hate to say it, I don't know that. I'm not even sure I know who Bruce Pritchard is.
He Brother Love. He was one of Vince's right hand guys, but he was Brother Love. One of the interviews.
I've actually heard about that gimmick, but I've never met the man in person.
Yeah.
It I was protected back in my day. I was 14, and if somebody messed with me that I said no to, it was all of a sudden, here come the rushing elephants. You know, it was excuse me. Don't mess with Vicky, or at that time I was Vicky. Later on, I was the princess. Every territory that I went into after I left Sandy, one of my brothers was there and they took care of me and the girls who were with me. We never had issues like what these girls are talking about today. I never had those issues. Number one, they're talking about these girls are having to sleep with promoters to get booked. I've looked at the promoters. They're not ugly, they're freaking ugly. I'm not sleeping with one of them, and I'm damn sure not sleeping with one of them to get booked. And it really pisses me off that these women are in such a position that they can't say no. I've been so far on the wrong side of the track since I was born that I couldn't even hear the train. So money never meant, and does to this day, does not mean a lot to me. But these girls wanting to stay booked and having to put up with this crap,
Mm-hmm.
it's time for it to stop. They need to stand up. Ladies, listen to me. You need to stand up as a united force, and you need to expose the promoters who are doing this to you. It needs to stop.
Did you hear
Period.
this? Did you hear the story? This happened around WrestleMania 2, but you might have heard this. Jesse Ventura tried to get the wrestlers to form a union. And because Vince always had those independent contractors, which is a load of shit.
Right.
But Jesse said, look, this is the time. He said, let's form a union. And of
Yes.
course, Hulk Hogan ratted him out because,
Oh,
Hulk
gee,
Hogan.
imagine that. Hulk
Yeah.
Hogan ratted him out. No, I heard all about this.
Yeah. And what Jesse did was Jesse went and did a couple of movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger, like Predator and Running Man. He got the Screen Actors Guild, so he's got his own union. He would come back and he threw that in Vince's face. So now he said Hogan can do his own bullshit,
Right. And Hogan is sold out more than once.
That's pretty much what he's known for now, is his lies, not his legacy.
Well, that's like I don't know if a lot of people realize this, but Terry Hogan, which is his name,
Terry
Terry
Bollea.
Hogan started out, anyway, in his early years of wrestling, was in the Pacific Northwest. I knew Terry from there. The night that Velvet and I were to get the belts in Madison Square Garden, Terry and his wife are walking by me, and hey, Terry, how's it going, brother? And he walked by me like he didn't know who the hell I was. Which, it didn't hurt my feelings. It pissed me off. And he took about 3 more steps, and me being who I am and not realizing Piper was sitting on a bench right behind me, I hollered out, "Prima donna much, Terry?" And I mean, I hollered it out. It bounced off the walls at MSG. I turn around and I look. Piper is literally rolling on the floor laughing because I called him out. I mean, even when I was in the business and had quote unquote so much to lose, I didn't care. Terry, he is such a prima donna. And I'm hoping someday he'll grow up, but that hope is slowly fading. I don't agree with what happened with him when he used the N-word against his daughter's boyfriend. We all make mistakes. That was 20 years ago. I don't agree with him using the word, but I don't agree with you smashing him because of a mistake he made 20
It's
years
funny,
ago.
but Vince can say racial slurs, and that's okay, though.
Right.
Yeah, Vince has
Right.
done it. Vince
Um,
did it right in front of Booker T and John Cena.
really?
Yeah.
I did not see that
Oh,
show.
yeah, he used the N-word.
He called Booker T an N-word?
No, but Booker T heard it. It was caught on camera. I think it was part of a work, but still, it's like, Vince thinks he can do it. Like I said, I think Vince is a dirtbag. I don't think he's a genius.
No, I
You
don't think
know?
he's a genius because there is so many things different that he could have done and kept wrestling what it was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, back in my day, when you were done with Don Owens in the Pacific Northwest, you lost a loser leave town match and you went to California. Then you went to Oklahoma because all of the promoters were working together and we were shifting wrestlers. We worked 365 days a year and sometimes twice on Sundays. So as soon as you were finished with this promotion, you were already booked with this promotion because the promoter of this promotion called the promoter of this promotion and said, look, he's run as long as he can here. Do you have a place for him? And once Vinny did what he did, the first thing he did was instead of getting paid by the television channels to be on there and having the car lots and all of that pay to do commercials during the wrestling match, he started paying them. That was the first thing, and that was the biggest cut. Because nobody could afford to pay a channel to be on their channel. And then what he did afterwards, the disgusting crap that he did. I mean, he buried NWA. He buried Pacific Northwest. He buried wrestling, the real wrestling, the wrestling that I used to go to where I wanted to beat Buddy Rose with a baseball bat and kiss Roddy Piper. And he took all of that away. I am seeing more, not a lot, not enough yet, but more territories that are working with each other like they did back in the old day. All right, he's run his trial with me. Can he come to you? Eric Nelson is one of them. He booked Sabu at his show. Then he turned around and he had a show for Sabu to go to the next day that another promoter was paying for, a sponsor. And it's slowly but surely coming back. So all we can do is wait and hope.
I was gonna ask, because I noticed your earrings and whatnot and your bracelets. You still, I know you're still making your crafts and stuff like that. You want to showcase some of that stuff on here?
Well, I can showcase. This is one of the latest pieces I've gotten in. That is
looks
wolf
great.
teeth.
That is
Right.
what?
That's wolf teeth. Is that better?
Oh, look at that. Oh, that's great.
I also got this one in.
Oh, beautiful.
And then I've got this one in. I just ordered these and let's see. Give me a second. Ow! That hurt. Wine, right?
Oh, yeah, have a drink on me.
Right? I should have done this before, but
Oh, you didn't know I was going to ask about this, but that's okay. I'm just, wanted you to have an opportunity to promote it.
well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, because I see what you're doing online, so.
This is one of my favorites, and I cannot believe it hasn't sold yet. Can you see that one?
Yes, I can.
That is crystal, quartz, glass, clay, and buffalo bone.
I thought you was going to tell me that your Jim Cornette dog collar.
No. It's too pretty for Jim. I've done that. I've done the pieces I just showed you, it just came in. This is another piece I've done.
Oh,
Um,
beautiful.
this is glass, quartz, buffalo bone, and turquoise.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And this is something that I do so that I don't go crazy. It gives me something to do, especially as you can hear, my knees give me a lot of problems now, and not being able to leave the house, being able to do this jewelry,
Well, you can
it
always listen to Jim Cornette and then you won't go crazy.
or I'll go crazier than I already am, right? Um, but I really love doing this, and I
Yeah.
have through my searches, the choker that I showed you, this
Hmm.
one, if you were to try to buy this from somebody else, it being the quartz, the glass, the buffalo bone, it would cost you $100. But I have done some research and I have found a place where I'm able to sell those for $45 plus $7.50 shipping and handling, because I found a cheaper place to buy the beads and all.
Hmm.
And like I said, I really love doing it.
I
You
can
know,
tell.
oh, I do. I love it.
Yeah.
When people and I ask people, do you want this piece or do you want me to make a piece just for you? What are your favorite colors? Do you want a choker? Do you want a necklace? Do you want a rosary? Which I've made several rosaries, and it really was something different for me. I kept watching the clouds.
Now, those things on your wrist, did you make those?
No, I did not make
Okay.
either one of these. This my husband found in Florida 30 years before he met me in 1998.
Okay.
And he always, when he gave it to me, he always said, if we ever break up, you have to give me the bracelet back. Well, when he died in my arms of a heart attack on a back road, about 2 weeks later, once I got my mind somewhere right, I looked up and I said, the damn thing's mine now, Jack, which he would have appreciated.
Yeah.
This, believe it or not, I got this off of Etsy and I paid less than $50 for it. Now, this right here, yes, I did not make the pendant. I made the necklace that goes on it.
Hmm.
And that's what I do. Like I showed you the centerpieces. I find a statement piece and then I build a necklace around it. And
Okay.
it makes it so much fun. You know, when people say, well, my favorite color is blue, purple, and yellow. Can you make that together? And it sometimes the color combination, it really takes a lot of time for me to make it all fall together, but I do. And I enjoy doing it. And you've already showed my book. I do that.
Yep. I
I've
have your book right here.
There you go, Princess
Yeah.
Victoria, A
Yeah.
Tale of
Look at
Tears.
her right there on the back there.
Oh, that was Japan. That was me saying, come here, girl.
Yes, there you go with the pigtail. And of course, we cannot forget. Look at that t-shirt. Look at that t-shirt.
I had fun making that t-shirt. The t-shirts are $25 a piece plus $7.50 shipping. The books are $35 a piece, including autographed, personalized, and shipping. All you have to do is contact me on Facebook. It's Vicky Otis, Vicki Otis, Otis, and you will see a picture there that someone painted, that JB Hederick painted of me, and that's my page. Just click on it if you want a book, a necklace, an 8x10. If you want an 8x10 that both Velvet and I have signed.
Speaking of which, I don't have them out here, but I do have signed photos of you and Velvet, which I was so glad they get a Velvet signature, you know?
Right.
So, yep. So I got that. I don't have it out here, but I got all my autographs in several bags over there. But yes, I got that.
Hang on. I got this. I'm not quite as prepared as I should have been.
Yeah.
Well, this is the first. This is the first. Ouch! That hurt.
Well, you're just nervous because I got the Iron Sheik doll here.
Oh, I know it. I'm just tingling with anticipation.
Yes, I know.
Can you see that one?
Oh, yes.
That's one. Ouch! All right, fine. Just fall apart. See if I care.
You've been falling apart since you saw the Iron Sheik.
I know. I'm just tingling. That's the other one.
I think that's the one I have.
Right. They're
Yeah.
they're $25 a piece.
Uh-huh.
They're autographed by both me and Velvet. And with this thing that I'm putting together, hopefully it will be that Velvet and I will be in the same room signing autographs and talking about the business in our eyes for the first time in 40 years.
You tell her, get on this show with you. You put your foot down. You tell her I have an Iron Sheik doll. She'll come right away.
I ain't putting my foot down. She'll stomp on it. You do not know how tough Velvet McIntyre really is. I mean, even I had enough sense to shut up when I should have shut up.
You tell her I got an Iron Sheik doll. She'll blush and she'll be right here.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
You tell her that Jim Cornette said.
I don't know who you're thinking of. But Velvet McIntyre was always very quiet.
Like Jim Cornette, very quiet.
No, much more quiet. But if you ever pissed off Velvet, God help you. I can remember one time she was sitting there giggling as I was gluing, and I can't remember the wrestler. I was gluing a wrestler's boots to the ceiling.
What were you doing that for?
They made me mad one way or another. When Davey Boy Smith and the crew started pulling all those
out. Oh, Dynamite Kid, yeah.
When they all started pulling those outrageous ribs that were supposed to be funny about defecating in somebody's bag, I looked at Dynamite Kid. I said, do it one time. Do it one time. You have no clue.
Oh, gee, they put, was it Halcyon or whatever you call that? You put in a drink. They did that to Outback Jack.
What are you talking about?
They put something in Outback Jack's drink.
Niacin?
Huh?
Was it niacin?
I don't know what it was. Starts with H, but Outback Jack had the story goes that he had said that he could outdrink anybody, you know, and And of course, he said that in the while Mr. Fuji was around, which is first bad move.
Right.
And so Mr. Fuji decided to have a drink off with him. The problem is, the story goes that Dynamite Kid was drugging his drink. And apparently, and again, I'm going secondhand, but this has been said in several places online and
Right.
video. They took Dynamite, or they took Outback Jack up to his room, and I guess Dynamite Kid pissed in his face. And Davy Boy apparently was one of these fucking guys that hid behind Dynamite Kid. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
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 But nonetheless, Outback Jack got up sometime in the middle of the night, and he did not realize he had no clothes on. He was drugged up, and he went down into the lobby area, buck naked, and I guess they had to bring him back up into his room.
See, that's not funny.
No. And
When
another
you're
thing that they
putting
did,
somebody's life on the line
they glued
by giving
Outback
them
Jack.
drugs, that is not funny.
They cut the crocodile head off Outback Jack's vest piece he wore to the ring, and they threw it out into the street. And apparently they put glue on the inner part of his hat. So when you see Outback Jack with his head shaved later on, it's because he had to shave his head to get his hat off. And they thought
See,
this was
that's not
funny.
funny. That's not funny. That
Did you hear
is
the
not
story
a rip.
about the Rougeau brothers?
No.
Okay, well, Kurt Henning's a ribber. And he had done something to the Rougeau brothers. I forget what, something to do with their clothes or something. And the Rougeau brothers thought it was the Bulldogs that did it. And they went to Vince McMahon about it. And I can understand for once where Dynamite Kid got pissed, but at the same token, you know what?
He was
You got,
known for doing it.
yeah, but you know, Kurt Hennig apparently had done it, and but nonetheless, Dynamite Kid, I guess, came up behind Jacques Rougeau and slapped him on the back of the head, knocking him off his chair. Now Raymond Rougeau already had an injury, so he couldn't do anything.
Right.
And so apparently, the Rougeaus had to figure out what to do about it because they knew in a real shoot fight they weren't going to win against Dynamite Kid.
Well, of
Neither
course
one of
not.
them.
He,
So
he knew collegiate and Greco-Roman, and he knew boxing and street fighting. He's like me, you know. You never knew what I was going to come at you with.
So what had happened was they made a plan. Raymond created a distraction. Jacques Rougeau had a roll of coins.
Roll of quarters.
And he hauled when Dynamite Kid came in the room, he hauled off and decked him, knocked his teeth out of him. Apparently, Dynamite didn't go down either.
Oh, does not surprise me in the
Nope,
least.
but it embarrassed Dynamite Kid to the point where he and the Bulldog had left. But that was the story. The other Rougeaus had enough.
Well,
You know.
see, the crap that Dynamite Kid was pulling wasn't funny. You know, me gluing some guy's boots to the ceiling. That was funny. I didn't hurt anybody. I didn't hurt him. When you're talking about defecating in someone's bag or peeing on someone's head, that is
Or shitting
disgusting.
in Jerry Lawler's crown.
And Jerry didn't kill anybody?
He didn't know who did it. From what and of course they did that in Sable's bag as well. Now I'm hearing, now I don't have proof, but I'm hearing X-Pac had done that. 1, 2, 3 Kid, but nonetheless, taking a little further with the Bulldogs.
That's not funny.
Yeah. Taking a little further with the Bulldogs, though. of course, Davy Boy's son is Harry Jr.
Mhm.
And I don't have any respect for him. I think he's a fucking asshole because of something he did. And I don't care if he hears this. He's not going to do
Right.
a fucking thing.
Well, you're like me. You're going to talk the truth whether they like it or not. What are they going to do? Fire you or
Yeah, he's not going to do a fucking thing. And I don't care how many people go on here. He could rip you apart. He can't do fuck all.
right.
You know? But he apparently there was a podcast. Roddy Piper was doing his podcast and he was interviewing Jake the Snake Roberts. And Jake, they got talking about the ribs by the Bulldogs, and Jake had said one time, they had they'd put something in the bag that Damien the Snake was in, and it was to cause Damien to bite Jake. And so Jake was like, okay, you always want to play that way. Okay.
Don't play with Jake Snake.
Well, Jake got them back because they had that dog Matilda, and I don't know what Jake had Matilda's food or whatever it was, but well, the Bulldogs were out. Matilda was shitting all over the room.
See,
You know?
that's not fair. They are hurting animals to get back at each other.
Yep, I know.
What has this dog done to anybody? What
Well,
has this
that was back in the day too, you know, but still, but Jake was going on about this, and he was saying that Dynamite Kid was a ribber that would come out and he would tell you he hated you. Davy Boy would go behind your back.
right?
And he had some unfavorable things to say about Davy Boy Smith. Well, Outback Jack had said the same thing. Well, I guess it was a convention that Jake was doing, and he was with his daughter. And Harry Smith, Davy Boy's little shit son, comes up and he throws hot coffee in Jake's face over this. And I'm
Are
sitting there
you
thinking,
kidding me?
yeah, here's what I got to say to Harry Smith. Number one, you're a fucking pussy. And number two,
How old was this kid?
hell, he must have been in his 20s or 30s or something like
Then
that.
he knew better. Then he knew better.
It's like Jake's not allowed to say something about Davy, but it's okay for Davy to be a fucking shit disturber. I'm sorry. It doesn't work that way. So
No, it
Harry
doesn't.
Smith can fuck off as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
That's what my opinion is of him.
I have no use for anybody who pulls those kind of ribs, be it defecating in someone's bag, someone's crown.
Mhm.
I don't care how much you dislike Jerry, and I don't. Jerry always treated us girls like $1,000,000. Up until the incident I told you about where this guy had said, ain't none of you got a chance with the princess. We had our own dressing room. He treated us like $1,000,000. This crap about doing something to snakes, doing something to animals, how dare you? How do you
No,
know this is not going to kill this animal? How do you know that this animal is not going to go wild enough that its owner is going to have to put it down because of what you did?
and
How dare you?
I'll say this too. I like the Bulldogs as a tag team. I think Davy Boy was tremendous in the ring. I mean,
Yes,
watching him do a shoulder slam on the Warlord, a guy about twice his size, is impressive. I think
yes,
Dynamite Kid was a terrific aerial wrestler, especially that flying headbutt. I'm not taking
yes.
anything away from them, but when I see Harry Smith pull stuff like that at a con, I'm like, I'm sorry, but Jake's not the only one that's come up and said stuff like this about your dad. Outback Jack has done it. Um, who else? There's been others that said it too. The Bulldogs had that reputation. It's like Harry Smith is saying it's okay if his father does it. Don't say anything or you have to deal with him. Well, to him, I say, fuck off. You're not going to do a damn thing to me.
Well, I had a conversation with Davy Boy Smith, and I told him, if you mess with me, and I think it was Wendi,
Uh-huh.
in these dressing rooms, and it was in Calgary, God save your soul. If somebody had defecated in my bag, it was all over but the crying. That is not funny. That is not something we used to do. The ribs we used to pull is the one, and I didn't find out until 30 years later that it was Velvet. We were at a venue in Portland and the midgets were in, and I used to wait to cool down to take a shower, because if you didn't cool down, you took a shower, you come out of the shower and you started sweating immediately. So I took my shower, I came out, everybody was gone. So I go over to where my bag's supposed to be and where my clothes are supposed to be, and my bag and my clothes are gone. And I start looking in the dressing room and I can't find anything. So the only thing, there were no towels in the dressing room. The only thing there was is, you remember those big paper towel rolls that we used to have in the gym?
Mm-hmm.
I took one of those big paper towel rolls because I realized, after I hollered outside the door and didn't even get a security guard to react, that I was a victim. So I wrapped myself up like a mummy. The only car left in the parking lot is my brown metallic gold, it had gold metallic spots in it, Chevy Malibu station wagon. And I look in the front seat and go to open the door, and as I go to open the door, I look in the front seat. Here's my purse and my keys to the car. I try the door, they're all locked. Well, by this time I had sweated enough. I had to go back in, rewrap myself. And I came out and I heard these children of the corn giggles. You know what I'm talking about? Just the faint. Now, understand, the midgets were in there, and I do believe it was, I cannot remember their names. I'll tell you later when
Sleepy,
I remember.
dopey.
Right. And I go back out to my car and I try all four doors. And then I try, remember back when you had the window that you could clamp and open up? It opened up. So I slithered with this freaking brown paper towel stuff in through the back door, over the back seat, reached in the front seat, grabbed the keys, and I'm still hearing these giggles like children of the corn. And Velvet had told me that day, look, we don't have to play the kayfabe. I've got somebody who's taking me to the arena, and I'll meet you back at the hotel. So I finally got in, got my clothes. I'm cussing like a sailor, but I'm cussing them fucking midgets because they were known for ribs. And I'm cussing him and I'm cussing him. And I cussed him for about 30 years. Until one day I was on the phone with Velvet and I brought it up. And that bitch that I love so much started laughing. Velvet, the queen of prim, the queen of proper, Miss Innocence did that to me. But that was the ribs we pulled on each other.
Did you ever get her back?
No, I should have, but I didn't. I should have, but I didn't. It was actually, like I said, it was 30 years later that I found out.
Oh.
and Velvet, God bless her soul. I mean, she rode with me for so many years in a car, and we never had an argument. How much of an angel was she to ride with me for all this time? And we never had. The only disagreement we ever had was when she wanted to put in AC/DC Back in Black, and I wanted to hear Willie and Waylon on the road again.
Oh, I thought the only disagreement you guys had was to figure out who was going to go with the Iron Sheik and who was going to go with Nikolai Volkov. I thought that was it.
You wait until I see you in person. And I'm going to I'm going to make sure Velvet's there and she has seen these interviews. And I'm just going to stand back and let Velvet handle it. Velvet and I had such a great time on the road.
I thought the other disagreement I heard you guys have was which one of you guys loved Jim Cornette more.
Somebody hand me my gun, please. You know you ain't right, Greg.
I haven't been right for so long.
Oh, right? What's good about being right?
Yeah, that's right. That's what my cat says.
Right?
Yeah.
I have actually been thinking, I had my Sonny and my Shadow, my pit bulls, and they've died they had passed away in the last year. Thankfully, they were both rescues, and the last 12 years of their life was spent with me. And I've really been thinking about getting a kitten. And I sincerely want a black, long-haired kitten.
There you go.
Because every black-haired, long-haired kitten I have ever met has this heel attitude. When I was living at my sister's, we had Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one day I'm at the stove and I'm talking 5 feet away and I'm cooking, and out of the blue, Charlie jumps off the breakfast bar and jumps on my shoulder, and he stands there looking at what I'm doing. And that's a typical long-haired black cat. But I'm 63 now.
I thought you were 39.
39 with 24 years experience. Can I take this? And I'm starting to do more shows and all that, but I've seen some pretty cool black cats on the rescue. I may have to adopt a black cat and get a traveling case,
Mm-hmm.
or take the little shit with me, but I've got to teach him how to attack wrestlers.
Are you going to name him Jim Cornette?
I was thinking about calling him the Iron Sheik.
I think you should call him the Iron Sheik. That's right. The Iron Sheik.
Mm-hmm. ain't right, Greg.
I've never been right.
All right, brother. I got to get off of here. I need to take my pain pills and get some sleep. I have enjoyed this so much.
You know what? I love talking to you. I really do. And it's always fun reminiscing with you, and I hope to meet you at one of these shows. Like I said, I did Chiller this year, and it was the first time I'd done one in the States. Between work and sleep, I don't have a lot of time on my hands to do other
Right.
things, but
Well, I'm going to be at CAC this year, so if you
mhm.
see a way, you'll see me there.
Yep. Yep. But
Mainly because I want to meet Sabu after he threatened to kick my ass at CAC.
my
And
money's on you.
well, I've talked to one of my good friends who wishes to remain nameless, and she said, Vicky, I can't have an opinion on this, but I pretty much think you can whoop his ass. But I don't want to whoop Sabu's ass. I want to smack him upside the head and bring him back into reality. Look, these people, your fans, you are letting them down. And it is so sad. It is so sad to see that. But anyway, I need to get off of here.
Well, Roddy Piper says a salute. You got the one
Yeah,
with the kilt. Oh
but you
man,
don't have the man with the kilt.
I wish I had the one. How many of these do you have?
Enough so I can go to sleep, sleeping safely.
There's Terry Funk. He's angry that you don't think he's muscled enough. He's like, Terry is hardcore. He was hardcore before it was hardcore.
Terry Funk was one of my buddies.
Terry was best. He could
Terry,
adapt to any style.
I remember one night I was partying in Puerto Rico
Uh-huh.
and I ended up sleeping in Terry Funk's room, but I was in the other bed. You can believe it or not believe it, I don't care, but I was in the other bed. And I rolled over and I looked at Terry. I said, "Did I have fun last night?" And he looked at me and he says, "Oh, yeah, princess, you had a ball." Or two or three.
And I bet you 100%, because I've seen video of him with his family, I bet he treated you with absolute respect.
You hit it right on the head.
Yep.
Terry treated me like a princess.
Yep. You want to blow some kissy faces at the Iron Sheik? I know you love the Iron Sheik. Oh, yes, I know you love the Iron Sheik. Anything you have to say to Jim Cornette? Just in case he sees this?
All right. Good night, Greg.
Good night. You tell the girls come on here. Like I said, Velvet, come on here with you.
Let me get done or get close to what I'm trying to do, and you're the first name I'm gonna shoot out there.
Put your foot down, like I said.
I don't have to. I have had so much fun with you on each and every podcast that how can I not put you over, brother?
I love having you on here, and I'm going to have you on here again, so you're always a blast to talk to, and I can just go back and forth here, so this has been a lot of fun, and you're always open to promoting your jewelry and your crafts and stuff like that as well, so I'm always happy to have you do that.
I appreciate that. Sweet dreams, my friend.
Sweet dreams to you. Dream about the Iron Sheik.
And
jumping over the fence with the sheep.
And I will see you later.
Jim Cornette won't make it over the fence, so
You ain't right. You are not right.
God bless you.
Sweet dreams.
Sweet dreams.